podcast is powered by Control. Control is a meal replacement and functional foods business whose mission is to improve the lifestyles of gamers and content creators by making them healthier. Their meal replacement shakes and meal-on-the-go bars are the best tasting products in their category while also giving you all the protein, vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients you need to keep you going. Check out drinkcontrol.com and try out the sample kits to see what all the hype is about.
Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 144 of the XboxEra podcast. I'm your host, Sik and Nick, and I'm joined, as usual, by James Bond.
What's going on? Here we go. Hold on. I tried to get the timing right. Wait.
No, okay.
Where is it?
You failed. You failed. This is the worst intro ever.
Yeah.
This is so painful and cringe. I want to die. Apologies to our audio listeners. You are being...
I'm going to do a jazz.
I put us on the...
Oh, man. You know what?
I put us back.
Tom, the wonderful Tom Warren here as well. You bringing up that Jez face palm. I've got to give kudos to Jez for actually making that public and drawing attention to it himself.
It was funny. It's classic. We've all been there and done something like that.
Oh, man.
But it was
The best.
But yes, Tom Warren is here on camera with the new setup and the new
I got
studio.
a camera, finally.
Yes.
I always had a
Finally.
camera, just,
You just don't like, you scrubbed up,
don't
got a
like
shirt
appearing
on.
it. Yeah.
Not as scrubbed up as Nick this time.
No.
That's a bit extra, that is.
We're very excited about
bit.
Goldeneye. Very excited.
It's been a long wait.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
But
We'll get into
finally.
it. We'll
Before the show, Tom was like, I don't have a camera. I'm like, man, don't you dare. I swear to God.
James Bond my ass.
Oh, my God.
Turn up and start slapping you like this. Get some numbers after you.
Just throwing hats at me.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's what you should have dressed up as. Odd job. That would have been more entertaining.
You know, the last time Tom was on was before the Series X came out.
Wow.
And he had a Series X preview unit. And he was like, I'm going to open this up to see how it is inside. And I'm like, Tom, don't break the Series X they've given you.
Hello, chat. It has been a while. It's lovely to have you back.
Yeah,
it's nice to see everyone in the chat as well. Don't forget to hit that like button. It does help us out. And we've got Jesse here behind the scenes, making everything look super pretty.
Hello, everyone.
And quick question, Nick, before we get into what we've been playing. Have you had your breakfast this morning? Oh, what wonderful timing of me to bring up.
I was wondering why I was so hungry. I hadn't eaten anything since I got up this morning.
Or you've squeezed into a suit from 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I was too busy organising the suit and I forgot to have my breakfast.
Too busy cosplaying.
So don't forget, if you're hungry right now, go to drinkcontrol.com/XboxEra. Use our code and get yourself 10% off.
And you too can look like Nick.
Yeah, and even Jesse's been forced to admit how right I am.
It's the one time you're right, because you're really not about GoldenEye. But for Control, it's excellent.
Yeah, the stuff's amazing.
So, before we get started, Tom, as you know, we usually talk about what we've been playing for the week. There's a lot of news to talk about. But I think, interestingly, those two things tie together, because I think the one thing that's been super prevalent throughout the industry is the surprise release of HiFi-RUSH. It's certainly what I've been playing and completed yesterday, which I was quite pleased with.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
How long is it?
About 11 hours, 12 hours long.
Not too bad.
There's loads of extra content after you've rolled credits, so you can go back and do stuff.
So you can go back, because I know I've missed collectibles, and I'm like, how do I go back and get these collectibles that I've missed?
Are you going to play it again, though?
Well, do you know what? I started to get into it again. The one thing that irks me a little bit is it's not like you go back and you can just walk around the levels. The levels are just replayed as they are.
Right.
So the narrative plays the same. You're introduced to the characters in the same way. But obviously, you've got the scoreboards, the rankings for each level. But all those, and spoiler alert, as you play through the campaign, you'll find strange doors with numbers on. and they are challenge rooms.
Is
And
that
then you
what
can
they
go
are?
down and unlock even more stuff and get even more power ups and things.
Oh.
But man, what a game! And I don't know
so
how
good.
far in you guys are, but I need to spoil
I'm not
one
far,
particular
but-
moment.
Neither am
Go on
I.
then.
I'm just going to spoil. Have you guys looked at the track list in terms of what bands are on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
not
not too
my
much
kind
of a
of
spoiler.
music.
Invaders Must Die by the Prodigy kicks in one part,
Uh,
and it honestly, I was grinning because I was just like,
Banger.
and it was just a brilliant moment. And then it kicks
they got
into
some pretty good tracks, actually, didn't they?
incredible
Yeah.
tracks. They had a electro sort of dubsteppy version of Mozart, I think, or
Oh, really?
something like that for one of the boss fights. So it's like dun 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 dun, but it's all like and it's such a
The
good
boss
game.
fights are actually kind of amazing.
Yes, they are.
Like, they're legitimately good boss fights.
And they
Like,
only
yeah.
get better, as
Yeah.
where so many games always kind of falter at the end. This one just kept getting better for me. And
I
the
just
last
beat
one was my
Rekka.
favorite.
I just beat Rekka.
Nice.
The animations are really good as well.
And they're
Oh,
in-game.
visually, it's just...
And they're in-game.
Oh, my God. It's
That's
Well,
gorgeous.
you
what
can
we
do like
like.
animations just for like throwaway jokes and stuff. Like it's
It is like
pretty
playing through a Saturday morning cartoon. Like there's tons of like little moments where like when he hits his face and he does that,
yeah.
just cracking me up.
I-
But Go
I
on, Nick.
just love that it borrows so many bits from... Or not borrows, but like takes inspiration from or is reminiscent of, like... You know, on first glance, when you see the screenshots and everything, you're like, oh my God, Sunset Overdrive. You're like, it's just like Sunset Overdrive.
The
And
art
then-
style is very similar in that.
yeah,
Yes.
in some way.
And then you look at the actual visual style with the animation cell shading, and you're like, okay, bit of Jet Set Radio /
Yeah.
Beautiful Joe. And then you realize Shinji Mikami actually worked on Beautiful Joe. And then you play it, and there's a lot of Devil May Cry in the way it actually plays. A lot of Devil May Cry. And it's just, it's so good. It's so good.
And
I think what
and-
made
Amazing.
it best though is that it just surprise drop, right? Like Shadow Drop is just
yeah, well, this
Yeah.
is the interesting thing,
no.
and I don't know if this.
We'll
this
talk
has-
about that.
I feel like this has some weight to it, right? And
Yeah.
we'll pin it. We'll pin it until we get into. the
Yeah, we'll
developer
talk
direct,
about that
but-
when we're talking about the show. But
all right.
yeah, it's just
It's a
I don't
great
know.
game.
And you know, it's funny. The first thing I noticed, and I was going to post about it on Twitter, was how the dash is there from the start. So it's like they learned from Sunset Overdrive's mistake, and the air dash is there right from the start because you need it. And it's just, man, it's really really good.
Well, speaking of the other
really
game that came out that you really want to speak about, and I'm not talking about Forspoken, Nick, there's a super chat from our good friend and colleague, Randall Thor 19. He wants to say a couple of words for you.
What's he saying now?
He says, "I love to see Nick not playing GoldenEye, despite him
get lost.
cosplaying as James Bond."
I have, you know, the timing of GoldenEye's release was shocking. Like, I was looking
You were
forward
asleep.
to it so much. No, I wasn't asleep.
Ah.
It was like midday. Like, someone had told me that in the UK, it was going to launch at midnight, which is like 11 a.m. my time. So I'm like, cool.
Right.
I'm up at 11, switched my console over to the UK and everything, trying to see if I could find some dodgy way to get it. Nothing happened. My wife's like, we've got to go because we were going to my parents. My parents live on the beach and it's hot in Melbourne, obviously. So we go down there a lot. The kids love going to the beach and all that sort of stuff. So we had to leave to go to the beach. So I'm like, okay, so it's because the Australian Xbox Twitter account was like the 28th it's coming out, which was the day after. So I was like, okay, so I had given up on the idea that I was going to get it a bit earlier. All of a sudden, within an hour of getting to my parents, I'm seeing all over Twitter that GoldenEye is live, and I'm like, you're joking me. So I didn't get a chance to play it till like later that night, and I was having dinner and going out and all sorts of stuff. So I only got like an hour in, and Rand is like, he's only played it for 50 minutes. I'm like, that's the only chance I got to play it, and got my wife annoyed that I was playing GoldenEye as soon as I got home before we had had dinner. I'm like, man. But now I've put some time into it, and on Switch. So I've done the damn all 3 difficulties on both consoles. I've now done the facility, all 3 difficulties on Xbox. I need to do it on Switch. I'm going through on both, and I'm just going brop, 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 all the way through.
Is it everything you hoped for?
It's everything I knew it was going to be. Because for some reason, a lot of people still thought we were going to get the Xbox Live Arcade remake.
I thought I was going to get a good port.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get something better than that, to be honest.
But once we knew it was the N64 ROM, there wasn't much more it could be.
Sure, but looking at it from a wider lens, Rev Replay came out, when was that? 2016? 2017?
I don't know.
One of those?
Around those times, yeah.
Right, and they added it for people that own the digital version, and they added it onto Game Pass. And if you look at the N64 ports of all of those games, they run great. They are exactly what they were, but they run great. I loaded up Goldeneye. I played for a total of about 8 minutes because I played it up. All the polygons on the dam are going, wow, like they're drunk. And then I was like, oh, yeah, it plays like shit. And then I turned it off.
Nah,
and I will never, ever turn it back on again. It was a waste
Xbox
of the
version,
381 meg.
If you're worried about how it plays,
it was like 310 meg, yeah.
Yeah. You said it was smaller than the Google app or some Google app.
It's smaller than Gmail, yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's still much bigger than the ROMs because they were only like up to 64 meg or something like that.
Yeah, the ROMs weren't that big.
It's obviously got like emulator in there and stuff, but yeah.
I do find it interesting though that like Code Mystics got the Xbox port.
Right.
Like Night Dive is right there. Right? Like when it comes to, like, you saw what Night Dive did with Turok. It seems odd you wouldn't reach out to Night Dive for GoldenEye. Especially when you've got MVG, who's a big fan of GoldenEye. Fair chance he would have loved to have an opportunity to have a crack at porting GoldenEye.
Yeah. I think Microsoft said it was going to be a faithful recreation. Whatever that means.
And technically it is.
It technically
is. The Switch version, you know, a lot of people, there was a lot of clowning of the Xbox version because apparently the Switch version was going to be superior. It is not. Having played both, the Switch version is borderline unplayable because of the controls.
Yeah.
Because on the Xbox version, they literally dug in and put native dual analog control, which is what makes it playable. On Switch, it's just the Nintendo 64 game. So the button mapping is all over the place. And
nightmares of those C buttons coming back to me
right
now.
God. So for those watching that haven't Googled it themselves and fixed it, on Switch, what you need to do to make this game playable on Switch is put your controller configuration to 1.2 and then go into the Switch OS button remapping and just make a few tweaks, like switch the stick operating, like make the left stick the right stick and the right stick the left stick, and a couple of other tweaks, save it as a preset, and then the game becomes playable because you've got dual analog set up.
Or you buy the N64 controller.
If you can find one.
If you can
they're impossible to get.
Yeah.
I luckily have 2 of them. I'm not using them because, to be honest, even I'll admit that even with a Nintendo 64 controller, GoldenEye is still not very playable in 2023.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm thankful for the Xbox version that just has normal, regular dual analog support.
I'm curious, both of you. What do you think happened here? Right, so we live in a world where 4J, I think it was, did the Perfect Dark remaster,
and it's amazing.
Perfect Dark is better than GoldenEye in every single way in terms of playability, multiplayer modes, and it shipped on Xbox in the 360 gen, I think, with all of the bells and whistles attached, a full HD port. We knew that the GoldenEye port it existed, right? We saw achievements appearing for it, all of that sort of stuff. Microsoft had obviously gone to Nintendo and said, hey, we want to release this thing. You guys could release the N64 version on Switch. You know, that. My gut feel is Nintendo have turned around and go, well, we can't have you guys having the better version. You'll have to release the same one as us. And that's how it's shaken out. Would you guess that that's somewhere on those lines? Because I can't see a reason for something like that to exist and then not to release it and just go, nah, let's have this wobbly polygonal mess instead.
Well, I had originally been told that we should still get that Xbox Live Arcade version. Like, I've posted on forums publicly about this, so this isn't hidden information. I had originally been told that we should also still get that good Xbox Live Arcade port, and that would also come to Switch. That was the plan. The plan was for them to come to both. Right. So if that's not happening, again, Nintendo's very funny about GoldenEye. They're very funny about it. They're very protective about it. And I'm guessing that's... have you watched MVG's video on it? He has a really good video on it. And MVG probably understands the ins and outs of GoldenEye behind the scenes more than most.
Right.
And I suspect there was something going on with that Xbox Live Arcade port. Maybe there was issues. Maybe... Because remember, it's an Xbox Live Arcade game made for 360. How do you port that to Switch? Do you port it? Do you try and get it running natively? How do you... Maybe there was technical hurdles that was
it's probably easier. It's probably easier just to use the N64 version, port it to Switch.
It probably just was in the end. Like, and let's say there was let's just assume for a second there was technical hurdles. Speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo ain't gonna allow a really garbage version on Switch, and then the Xbox gets this amazing Xbox Live Arcade.
That I think
compatible
is
360 version. Like, Nintendo just aren't gonna let it.
They're not gonna fly for that.
Most people are shocked they let this happen. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? So.
God, has it ever?
I mean, it's just I felt like it would be as good maybe as the Xbox Live Arcade version, or like, but I don't know. I don't really know what I was expecting really, but it's not.
If you want to play that good Xbox Live Arcade one, you're going to be a pirate for a bit. It's out there. You're going to have to go and play it with a patch on.
It's just a shame
on PC as well.
So. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So that's it. I mean, and outside of that, I don't know if you guys have been playing anything else. I have. I've been playing a game for review, and I don't think I can. I think it's embargo, so I can't really say what it is. But
is that the one that you were showing before?
That I showed you guys. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's bastard hard, and it makes me question my gaming pedigree in every sense of the word. Like, I'm seriously questioning. I'm just old.
An email asking for a second review code.
Just to back me up, Jesse, in case I'm old. But I'm going to dig deep and try and get this through. And I reckon that's why they've got such a huge lead time, because they must know.
Is that the one you were mentioning?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the 3-week one.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Yeah, because it's bastard hard.
Jesse, how did you review Hi-Fi-RUSH in less than 24 hours, Jesse?
I know, it's a 25-hour-long game, so it's impossible.
Yeah, how did you review it, Jesse? Is it like backwards. 3 weeks the norm?
Oh, that guy on Twitter?
That was a weird tweet.
So, that was weird.
Oh, God.
But
I said it in the first paragraph of the review. I said I played it for 11 hours straight. That's how I did it. I just read it.
I think Nextlander podcast mentioned that you mentioned the XboxEra review, because obviously we were first out the gate. And look, this is the thing, right? No one forced Jesse to do this, but Jesse, like the rest of this team, knows that we are like these teeny, and we're only funded by you guys watching. And if we can get first in anything, you can be assured we'll try and do anything we can to do it. And so we did. And it worked. It worked for us rather well.
It was good.
Is it Forbes? Really good.
And Aaron,
review now, I think.
What's that?
Forbes. Yep.
Forbes has
Paul
got
Tassi
That's the
reviewed
second
it.
one, right? I think. Yeah. On Metacritic.
Paul Tassi's given it a 9.5.
It's now up to a 91 on OpenCritic, where we don't actually count because we're not top critics, and it's 90 on Metacritic, where we do count.
Oh, it's up to 90 on Metacritic now. It was 88.
Good for them. Who'd have thought that Microsoft would start 2023 after hearing all of the crap thrown their way? Some of it deservedly so, because they were just quiet from a first-party perspective, at least.
Yeah.
To just shadow drop and I don't think I'm overstating this, a potential Game of the Year contender with no marketing, and just here you go, everyone enjoy. And hell, we're on the show now. Let's talk about the developer direct and kind of skip around.
No. There's more we've been playing.
Is there? What else do you need to talk about?
Oh yeah, Jesse and I.
We've got 2 hours on the clock, buddy.
Maybe Tom's been playing too. Dead Space remake.
Oh,
I haven't actually started that yet.
Oh boy, man.
Is it good?
I mean, I love the original Dead Space. Got the full 1,000. Like, you'll find my tweets. I've spoken about it on this show. Dead Space is the best Resident Evil game ever made. And the remake is just, oh my God, it's so good. I don't know how long I got in yesterday. I got a little bit of time in with it yesterday. I just got the plasma cutter. I just got the stasis module. I'm going through trying to get the collectibles in that first run as well. But oh my God, it's so good. I'm playing in performance mode. Don't play in quality mode. I don't know. The frame rate is really weird in quality mode. It's not
smooth.
It's not a smooth 30.
It's not a Forza Horizon 530.
Yeah, it's not a Forza Horizon 30.
It's not a Destiny 2 30.
Yeah, or a Destiny 30. It's like this weird yuck. And the thing is, the difference in visual quality between performance and whatever it's called, quality, it's not even noticeable.
Yeah.
Like, it almost looks borderline better at 60. It's just, and it's so good.
Their implementation of variable rate shading is very aggressive, and so anything you're not directly looking at just loses a ton of visual clarity, so it doesn't matter that it might be running at a higher setting. It doesn't show it anyways.
No, yeah. Have you guys not been spending all the week playing Forspoken, though?
I did.
Forspoken,
I beat it. I put a review up.
Jesse got a review code for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
And Jesse, you reviewed the PC version on Xbox with Xbox achievements, right?
Where you need a 4090 to get it running at like a decent click.
I ended up mostly playing on Steam because they got me that version like 5 or 6 hours ahead of the Windows Store version, which was very broken. If you bought the Windows Store version, it just didn't work for a while. It was saying people don't have the rights to actually open it and play it.
Sounds like a Windows Store version.
Yeah, it sounds like, but it's weird because they're using direct storage and they've got full achievements. Like it is a proper Xbox-ified version of the game. So
yeah,
but it's
there was a bit of like there's a hardware YouTube channel that created a bit of controversy around Forspoken and direct storage earlier this week. They did a benchmark that was wrong, basically. And then everyone was running headlines saying direct storage ruins the 4090 by 10% performance.
Yeah, you had to issue a correction, right? Because it was just wrong based off.
I ran a debunk because people were just they just went with this like throwaway line in someone's video, and it was a bit.
And that was it. It became truth. Truth
fact.
Jesus.
I think there's still stories that haven't even been updated as well, but yeah.
No, probably not. But the issue with Forspoken, especially when HiFi-RUSH then hit a few days later, and people are like, well, these are both full of cringy dialogue. And it's like, Forspoken hates its setting, and the protagonist hates it, and it's constantly just making fun of itself in a very weird way while having very poor direction. The camera movement is bad quite often. There's a weird lack of music in the background. The Foley work and the extras talking in the background are like PlayStation 1. It's PlayStation 1 Capcom Resident Evil levels of just nothing meshes. She doesn't fit in the world right. The lighting system is completely broken. And so all that combines to give you something that's just bad. But then HiFi-RUSH it revels in how stupid it is. Like it knows the tone it's going for and it loves it, and the writing is good behind that, and the direction is excellent, and the animations, and it's not trying to be realistic looking and failing miserably at that with the way the faces look and animate. So like Forspoken can have some really cool moments in combat with its spell system. They can look incredible, but you don't ever really feel in control of it. And it's a weird broken mess that I don't I don't understand.
I've got to give shout out to Tango Gameworks as well. Like their accessibility settings, like there's no like God mode or anything like that. But my 8-year-old, excuse me, saw me playing it. Was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, it's all about music." And I was explaining how it works, and he was like, rushed off, downloaded it on his Series S, and I didn't tell him about the accessibility settings. And then he comes calling down to me yesterday, and he's like, "Dad, I just beat Wrecker." And I'm like, "Did you?" Like, genuinely surprised because the mechanics, as long as you've got rhythm, it's okay. But like, it's unless you turn on some of those settings, some kids might find that tricky. I was really impressed. And then he was like, "I am starting to find it really hard now, like some of the parrying systems and stuff." So I just showed him that setting. He was off, man. He like the one button action setting. So as long as you keep rhythm, it does a lot of the hard work for you. He's in love, and I hope it gets a sequel. I really do. Like a brand new IP, Shadowdropped. Like if this is how Microsoft are going to start the year, yeah, cool. All right, I'm in.
Shadowdropped Starfield, right?
Can you imagine? Yeah. Can you imagine?
I've got words to say on that.
They have 10, 15 minutes of gameplay, and then they're like, "It's out now."
Yeah.
Faisal with a superset. Just rolled credits on Hi-Fi-RUSH. Great game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very good. But yeah, we went on to many tangents there. Dead Space. Dead Space.
We can bring them all together for the show talk.
Yes. Indeed.
So we may as well talk about the Developer Direct.
What did you think, Tom? Did you think that this is the right way for Microsoft to do things from now on?
Yeah, like I think they always ask for like feedback. Like the marketing folks or the PR people might ask you like once a year, like, how are things going? How do you think we're going? And all this sort of stuff. And you're just like, yeah, whatever. But most of the feedback I've ever given them is like literally this, which is like, just cut the hosts, cut the bullshit, cut all the stuff that like we don't care about, right? Like
no one cares.
Sure, that works. No one cares about it, right? Sure, it works for like E3 hype and like the old school way of marketing games and stuff. But we just want to see the developers passionate about their games, getting excited about it, making you excited about it, and then seeing gameplay. Like that's basically what you want to see. And I think Nintendo and Sony have they've realized that over the years. They've nailed that, right? Like Nintendo especially. They've kind of led with that direct format for quite some time now. And I think Microsoft's just been lagging behind there. So it's good to see them catch up and do something that was quite legit. I think the only thing that was just disappointing there wasn't a Forza date. Because I think
they kind of made up for
dates.
They kind of made up for it.
There's so much weird focus on that. Why is that such a focus for everyone?
I think people just want to know because they're excited about it, right? Like,
I think,
and they did say it's supposed to be first half, right? But it's obviously not going to be first half. Like,
I'd be very surprised if it's first half if it didn't get a date. But like,
I think the reason people make fuss about it is we are living in a world, right, where Microsoft came out with this big statement of intent, right? And I'm talking really from the Xbox One X onwards. Phil's in charge, right? Okay, we're going to fix all the stuff. Now we're going to go on a studio spree. Now we've bought all these little studios. Now we're in, right? Okay, now we've acquired Bethesda. Now we've made all these promises. Here's the new consoles. Oh, Halo Infinite's delayed. Oh, some of our games are still shipping broken. Are you really in? Like, is there still a lot of bureaucracy in the way?
It's been the constant, like, next year. That's the thing, isn't it?
Oh, we make the joke. Xbox fans are used to wait for E3, and it happens every year. And this year, I think Xbox fans and generally gaming people have just been like, yeah, okay, shut up and deliver. And
if this isn't the year, then okay.
But my thing is, and we said this on our show a couple of weeks back, we said, why cram the first half with everything? Why not spread it out? And I would not be surprised if Forza being second half of the year is strategic more than the game needs time.
It's probably a bit of both, right? Because they're obviously looking at their Game Pass numbers. We haven't had an update on those for a year now.
Yeah.
And there's obviously some of the content and services revenues slightly slipped there, and not necessarily to do with Game Pass directly, but I think they're thinking we need to spread this out, particularly when they're looking at their quarterly stuff. I mean, I know that Phil says he doesn't care about that stuff, but like, Yeah, they still
Your shareholders do.
Yeah, like
I'm sure
I think
Satya
just
does.
the story they need to have. They don't want like multiple quarters of revenue dropping too badly.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely an element of spreading out. So and just giving studios a little bit more time as well.
And we kind of tried to strategize before the developer direct, right? Like, if Microsoft has to keep that promise, which they haven't, right? But they have been at least transparent enough to kind of say, yeah, it's still coming this year. Where are they going to space things? And people are like, well, okay, we've heard Redfall was leaking. It leaked May the 2nd. That was confirmed. Minecraft is April 18th. We had a HiFi-RUSH. Forza was just now a nebulous where people were like, oh, where's Forza going to land? I think it's just going to be like all Forza games, September, probably.
Yeah.
And now
October.
that big question mark is Starfield, right? Like they've said, and I think that's the one thing. I know they said it in the press release and they said it on Twitter. The one thing they could have just at the end was like, want to know about Starfield? Don't worry, we're doing a dedicated. They could have just had like a 30-second to just acknowledge its existence, which I think was a miss, but whatevs.
Yeah, they probably should, but they probably wanted to have a date for wherever this event's going to be.
Yeah,
and they
haven't
have a date for that. No,
but do you think Starfield is before E3, or do you think that's your Christmas game? That's your November.
Yeah, I don't think it's before E3, but
I do.
I still think it's June, but I also still think they should make it the fall game.
The full, sorry. Oh, you think they should make it? They should make it the November
fall game, as in the game that comes out in the fall. Sorry, I know we say autumn.
I
know we say autumn, but I'm trying to.
You're talking to the international audience.
Yeah. No, I think it makes sense. Was good.
I think it would make sense as the holiday game.
Yeah.
Which I think it would too.
I think people need to brace themselves for that, right? Realistically.
But then Redfall kind of makes sense as October, right? So,
but it's May the 2nd, isn't it?
Sense then. Yeah, doesn't really make sense in May, does it? Really?
I'm quite happy. Like I always used to get really annoyed traditionally, and Sony kind of caught on to this, right? They've been quite happy to release their games, February, March, April, May, June. Everyone kind of just like all the other big. Traditionally, they would just ignore this season. You'd have just run by on indies and things like that.
It's true.
I play games all year, people.
If you look at their schedule for Game Pass right now, January had Hi-Fi-RUSH, like sort of leading it. They also have Age of Empires 2 coming next week, which we won't have a review for. February is going to have Atomic Heart. March is going to have Wo Long. April is going to have Minecraft Legends, and May is going to have Redfall. So if June gets a big game. It's probably not going to be Diablo at this point, but if they ends up being Starfield, it's every month they've got either a first party or a big, third party game every month.
Yeah,
it's
what was
pretty
the promise?
Ridiculous start.
Yeah, wasn't the promise like every 2 months or something?
Every quarter they have
one
a first
big
party
game a quarter.
Yeah. So every 3 months. Yeah.
And as it is, they're doing more than that so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the way you keep and grow the subscription service.
Ghostwire in March. I forgot.
Ghostwire.
Oh yeah.
God, Tango Gameworks kicking ass. Who'd have thought they'd have the first true next gen exclusive from the Bethesda acquisition before anyone else? Who'd have thought? Was Tango Gameworks on anyone's bingo card? No.
Because do you remember
the game wasn't a secret though.
Hang on.
No. Well,
it wasn't, but.
It wasn't. But do you remember the filings? They said there was going to be 3 Bethesda exclusives that were going to be predominantly single player. Yeah. So everyone thought Starfield, Redfall, and Elder Scrolls, right? Like that was the assumption.
Now that's changed.
No, that's changed, right? Because it's these 3. So
I found a Ghostwire Tokyo interview where they actually talked about like Ghostwire Tokyo, and they went over the history and John Johannes, and they said, and he's leading a game right now after Evil Within. And it's like, oh, well, that was Hi-Fi-RUSH. Yeah, they hadn't talked in general about it, but we didn't really.
But we saw the trademark filing as well.
2 years ago
for Hi-Fi-RUSH, ages ago. Like and that Twitter account was created in September.
Madness,
the game wasn't technically a secret. It was there just because no one knew what it was. Nothing had really leaked.
I think everyone was expecting it to be announced, but not to be shadow dropped.
Shadow dropped. Which leads me to this. This is so what I liked about this show was now John and Jesse, no one dumps on Microsoft and the fact that they don't get it more than me. No one out there.
I would agree with you on this.
This show and the way they shadow dropped HiFi-RUSH, to me, is the first sign that Microsoft is finally starting to understand the market they're in and their place in it.
Yeah.
Like, for so many years, Microsoft have been trying to play by the same rules that Sony and Nintendo are governed by, not realizing that they can't do that.
Yeah.
Which is why they keep getting it wrong. Now they're like, well, hold on a second, we'll do our own thing. Because that developer direct was nothing like a Nintendo Direct. It was nothing like a State of Play. It was nothing like any of those. It was their own thing to suit their own content. And I loved, so one thing that like Xerox and I had said, and Jesse was vehemently against,
Still am.
was that I said Microsoft should stick to what they said. They said they're going to have those 4 games. Stick to those 4 games so that going forward, they don't subvert their own expectations for future shows. That way, because I thought if you do a one more thing or a surprise, then people are never going to believe you when you try and set expectations before a show. And they're always going to go, well, hold on, what's the one more thing this time? And if they don't have it, people are going to rag on them. I love how they got around that. Absolutely loved it. What did they do? Straight up front. Guess what? 5 games, not 4. And then we saw the redacted.
Scrubbed it out, didn't they?
Yeah. I have to admit, the whole presentation, like initially when the stream was starting soon, you had the little mouse cursors with the game studios attached, and then randomly right at the end, little Tango Gameworks went.
Yeah, I loved it.
Hello.
They were just upfront about it. Rather than saving it for the end, they had it right at the start, up front, and said, yeah, look, there's this 5th thing that you can just kind of see there by Tango. Now, the Tango thing had been leaked a couple of days before. I mean, I had heard word, I'm sure a few of us had heard word that Tango's game, HiFi-RUSH, was going to be there. But that's all anyone had heard. The shadow drop was a complete surprise to everyone. And again, brilliant move for that specific game. Shadow drops aren't going to work for every game. Like,
no.
If you think about a game like HiFi-RUSH, had that game got its traditional, here we are, we're announcing it 6 months before release, here's the hype cycle, here's the marketing, we're going to get review codes a week out, blah, 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 blah. Had
it would have been
HiFi-RUSH
nitpicked apart. Mate.
Yep. You would have had a narrative on Twitter and on Reset about how it's cartoony, not AAA. Oh my God, look at what Microsoft made Tango make. Oh my God. And that would have just festered for months and months and months. It would have subconsciously affected reviews, and the game would have just disappeared into nothingness.
I don't disagree.
But because it was shadow dropped, everyone was just like, what?
There was no
what the hell
time
is this?
to set an expectation.
It generated its own hype, didn't it?
Yep. The game sold itself. The game sold itself via Game Pass to everyone, and there was so much hype for it that everyone got swept up in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it helps that it's actually a genuinely fantastic game, don't get me wrong. But it's just, I think they got ahead of it. Like,
yeah, it's got more attention than it would have done, like, say, if it had been released.
Way more. Yeah. Way more. People are calling it a Game of the Year contender now.
And I think it genuinely is. And on that point, one extra thing to add to this is not just as it's a great game and the methodology of which they dropped it, you know, they overcame that narrative setting that tends to happen with games that aren't, they're not making a horror game, you know, any of that silliness. But the best thing about it was the game's quality itself. And I think this is important. Microsoft, you haven't done a great job, right? Of late, the pandemic, a lot of games were launching in a rough state that have been worked on during that period. And yet, this game launched. I haven't seen or had reported a single bug. It came with full accessibility options. It was pristine. It ran flawlessly on all versions, to my knowledge. Again, I'm not, you know, there might be random ones out there, probably the Windows Store PC version, but I've played it on this. It supported ultra-wide out the gate. That is the kind of launch that we should expect and demand from Microsoft going forward. I am done with games launching half-assed. It drives me nuts.
Super polished.
Hopefully, yes, so polished.
Super polished.
It runs super well on PC as well. So
yeah, it's glorious. I loaded it up in ultra wide. I was like, oh, you support the full width, like super ultra, right? I was like, yeah, okay, nice.
You know that they paid attention when they do that.
Yeah, it's always a good sign. Like the cutscenes weren't, but I thought I saw questions like, oh, the cutscenes are really well animated. They can't be in engine, but then. When you've completed it, you get the opportunity to customize your character and do all sorts of fun stuff with the guitar and t-shirts and scarves. And that updates into the cutscenes. So they are 100% real time. I was like, oh, that is awesome.
This would be Unreal Engine 4, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's Unreal 4.
I think it's 4. Yeah.
But I just love that Microsoft finally understood, or Bethesda, whoever made the call to shadow drop it, they understood.
Phil said that was Bethesda's call.
Yeah. Okay, so someone at Bethesda understood the market properly and knew what would have happened to HiFi-RUSH had they gone for the traditional... Because I've seen people say, oh, shadow drop Starfield. You can't shadow drop a game that has a physical release. It's just a logistical impossibility.
I'm amazed the Windows Store, the Xbox Store, didn't leak it digitally beforehand. Like, that surprised the hell out of me.
Yes.
Someone must have been like standing over the guy that has to press the button to update the server. Do not
push it now.
No.
Yeah.
Because that thing is like a bucket, like a leaky bucket, isn't it?
It is. It's all the time.
It is. So firstly, you can't shadow drop a game with a physical release. And even if you wanted to, it would be a logistical nightmare. And you'd probably have to risk pissing off physical customers because you'd have to release the physical version after the digital version.
Yeah, it wouldn't go down well.
That's right. But then there are games that don't need it. Starfield doesn't need a shadow drop.
No.
It's already getting the traditional, been announced, getting hyped. We're showing what it's about. We're showing this. We're showing that. We're showing. You don't need to shadow drop Starfield. It doesn't need that surprise. It's Starfield. Like I love
if it's
that
coming before E3 and they did an event and then they said, it's out next Friday or something.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
that's not really a shadow drop,
I still think with a game of that nature, they'd want the review hype cycle as well, right? So you'd have to rely on every person that might get a review copy to not break NDA and not let that knowledge out. And I don't see that happening, not with a game this big. Yeah. People can't help themselves. But
I saw a tweet from Gaz, one of his serious ones, and he was saying how HiFi-RUSH is a significant moment for Xbox. And I agree with him. It is. At least from my perspective, it's significant in that it could be the turning point where Microsoft finally realizes how things work in terms of marketing their games. And hopefully going forward, they now understand and start to get things right with all their games.
And I have to correct myself, like, Forza Horizon 5, Pentiment, As Dusk Falls, they all launched in a great state. Grounded as well, arguably. Even Grounded, when it was first on early access, was remarkably solid. So I don't want to paint the narrative that all Microsoft games shit broken. I was speaking generally from an industry point of view that a lot of games were broken from the pandemic development
I think the ones that were like super hyped as well.
Yeah. Halo Infinite, I'm looking at you, buddy.
Cyberpunk, and like there's been a few.
There's been a few very high profile
across the industry, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so great developer direct. We hope that we're going to see more of this kind of stuff. But I think Microsoft has set the tone, right? So for chat, if you haven't been paying attention, they explicitly said we look forward to making more announcements in the summer with our event in LA, which will be E3 or whatever E3 is this year. Please don't let it be another Summer Games mess.
Over.
Oh my god!
Do you know what the dates are, Tom? Out of interest for E3, because I think we're the XboxEra crew. We're actually going to see what we can do. Because I would love to do a podcast. I don't know the
exact dates yet.
Well, I saw
Tuesday, June 13th through Friday, June 16th, 2023.
Look. 13th, so I 16th.
Saw. Okay, that's the usual time, isn't it? Because it's usually just after the Apple event. So.
I think Andy Robinson at VGC had booked flights. I was like, okay, if we're going to do this, we need to think about hotels and where we're going to stay because that's going to get full up. But yeah, be fun to go. catch
Keep
COVID.
in mind,
And then will Microsoft be Sunday on Monday?
That's true. Sunday usually, isn't it? They do a Sunday for the show.
Well, they have done a Monday. I'm trying to remember when they did a Monday.
Wasn't it 2021?
Yeah, it might have been 21. All I remember is it clashed with the Apple event.
Was that during the pandemic? It must have been.
Yeah, 2021 was.
I know time is just the last few years.
The before times. Times.
But when are they going to do a developer direct 2 or whatever they call it?
Yeah, but I don't think outside of Starfield, which should whatever that is should appear before E3, right? You would imagine as a direct show.
Yeah, I would imagine they'd have to do that before E3.
But do you think that outside of E3, it will always be a developer direct?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. I feel like they could still do stuff that's similar to that. You know, like the Xbox. What was it? What they call it?
Inside Xbox.
Inside Xbox.
Please no.
Yeah.
No more of that. Here's a new controller.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, don't remind me. That stuff.
Get Larry Herb with his white gloves on, unboxing it. You know.
Yeah.
Please God.
Yeah, like that stuff has a place for like certain stuff, I guess, but like, I feel like they'll still do sort of stuff like that as well as these developer direct stuff.
I think they will too.
They can't resist the urge, you know, to do that. So,
but it's not just that. Do it where it fits.
Yeah, it does fit in certain, like around the E3 hype. That's just kind of what the industry does anyway.
I feel like
it kind of fits there. But
and it's not to disparage my American friends, but the Inside Xbox stuff feels very American.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Feels very daytime TV talk show host type cringe, and it just makes me want to crawl.
That's where Larry Herb came from. Larry Herb was a radio guy, and it felt very American radio to me.
But we've spoken about this before. The problem wasn't the format. The problem was the lack of content to support it.
Yeah, exactly. They're hyping up stuff that was just unhypeable. You know, like that was a big problem.
Not hyping up anything because there was nothing.
Yeah, there was nothing.
There's a reason why. To this day, the best Inside Xbox is unanimously agreed on that it's the one that had all that batch of backwards compatible games.
Yeah.
Because
everyone
they had something people wanted to see.
Yeah.
I didn't see anyone bagging the format when it was that episode. Same format, but content people cared about. So it's not the format that's the issue. It's that there was no content. I think now that they've got more games than they can handle, an Inside Xbox could work now because they've got so much coming.
They've kind of been testing this format, though, haven't they? Like, you know, when they did the Forza Horizon 5, E3 or whatever it was, not E3, whatever that year was, and they kind of did exactly what they basically did in the last show, right? They let the devs sort of like just go whole hog on it. And everyone loved that, didn't they? Like
same for the Forza Motorsport reveal. Like, hey, we're going to walk you through how the technology works. We're going to show you what we've done, how we've changed things, what's updated, and that's the stuff that gamers with a capital G really enjoy.
People like seeing that instead of seeing some trailer CG. Or just cut up gameplay or CG. Yeah, like people just love seeing devs get excited about their game and explaining it and showing it. You know, that's cool. So.
And I've seen in the chat, Anime Compilation says the indie show needs to change as well. I think Microsoft are going to take a different approach with bigger indies, but we'll see what happens on that front.
Overall, overall, it was a very good show.
It was, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
A good sign going forward that maybe Microsoft is finally starting to get it.
Either that, or the Bethesda people in the team get it, and they're starting to slowly win the arm wrestle.
I think
Microsoft leads.
Yeah, I think it's that because they're like, this is how we do it. This is probably better.
Didn't Microsoft hire a new person in a role like was it Tina Amini from IGN?
Yeah.
Again, I can't remember when that.
There was someone else that was.
They hired her, and they built up a whole team around live content and stuff. So they've rebuilt.
So I do wonder if that's her influence already, just sort of creeping in there.
I feel like they've been waiting for a while though to do this. They've been thinking about it.
They knew
they've been testing the waters,
and they had to sit through all the Game Awards You weren't there. You let us down. They'd sit there like soon, and then they've just done it.
We'll get there.
But I mean, the other games that we didn't speak about, Minecraft Legends? No.
Yeah.
Legends?
Yeah.
Is it?
Legends.
Which one? No, which one's the other one?
Dungeons.
Thank you, God. It's too much Minecraft.
I swear,
Legends.
every time I tweet about Minecraft Legends, I type out Dungeons.
Delete.
But I have to pay Elon Musk to edit it.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's not my genre, but I was chatting with friends and it was like, that could be a laugh 4v4 because of the PvP style shenanigans. That could be a good giggle. So hopefully that's well balanced. I don't really have much more to say on Legends unless you guys do, but I did want to talk about Forza Motorsport.
Yeah.
One, very impressed. I don't know if you guys took the opportunity to go back and watch the direct on a 4K screen with the 4K YouTube video rather than the stream. Oh my.
I was watching stream. I was like, this is ruining it. This compression.
The artifacting on Twitch was just like, nah.
Yeah. But then when you watch it back, it's very good. But Forza's always looks great, right?
But you can't ever doubt Turn 10. They're an incredibly proficient studio. I do wonder, because they said that they had the show. Did much more get shown on the show afterwards on the Thursday? I don't recall seeing any big headlines because they said Motorsport would be
did that show happen already, the second one?
Yeah.
For Forza? I did not see that.
I haven't seen it either.
But I think Forza Motorsport itself, it's obviously going to be a live service platform-driven game, right?
Yeah.
And I is it a monthly update thing? Is this a, seasonal, like 3 months? Like, what's the plan here? Because every time I see this and then I look at Microsoft's handling of Halo Infinite's live service, I'm like,
yeah, we still don't know what's happening there.
Anyone?
I'd imagine it'd be like seasonally, right?
Like
would make sense.
Winter, summer, spring, autumn kind of thing.
Yeah,
maybe. Hopefully, is it?
Hopefully,
is it my imagination though, or have the car models gotten less detailed over time with Forza releases?
No, they look more detailed.
Definitely more detailed now because they've got the sort of individual damage stuff now. I think and dirt and.
But I'm talking about the really granular detail of the cars, like within the lights, within the headlights, and all that sort of stuff. I feel like, I don't know, part of me feels like the cars themselves, the actual car models, have less detail than they once did.
I'm imagining they probably are like 10 times more, and we need to see it natively and not through YouTube compression.
Yeah, I think you're probably you are probably the only one that thinks that.
But they might tone it down a little bit because they're doing real time ray trace reflections, aren't they? Or illumination.
Yeah. Global
that's what I mean. I
illumination.
wonder if that's the sacrifice. I wonder if they're like, 999 out of 1,000 people are never going to look at these models in great detail. They're just going to play the game normally. Do we need to use those extra million triangles to make sure every part of the headlight is in there when we're trying to have 4K native 60, ray tracing, global illumination, blah, 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 blah. And maybe that more granular detail was sacrificed to allow that, if that makes sense.
There are some shots. There was a shot with one of the cars has the engine coming out of the bonnet, right? And if you look at it, the engine looks like really basic in some ways. I'm like...
That's what I mean. Stuff like that.
Could be, yeah.
But I think...
Look at it closer.
If they're leaning into the sim aspects, the important stuff is all of the simulation and how it drives.
The crowd.
I was waiting for some zoomed in 2D shots. I was like, is the crowd 2D?
The environments are a massive step up. Compared to past Forza games, the environments are a huge... That's what I immediately noticed above all else.
How much
better the environments were.
20 environments.
20, right, yeah.
So I presume that means multiple tracks within those 20 environments. So.
I think so.
But
they did actually mention the crowd there as well, didn't they? They said it had 10,000 or something unique.
That's what I mean.
I
feel like there was
a
big focus on the environments and everything in the background because of what had happened in past Forza games.
Yeah. And it's funny though, I'm not a sim racing fan, right? Forza Horizon was the first series where I was like, oh my God, this is really fun, right? And again, Forza Horizon 2 particularly and 3 for me were my favorites. 4 was fun for a while. 5, it's an incredible game, but they started to become for me very map Ubisoft style games where I'm just like, there's too many icons, and I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, too much.
I'm not too much of a driving fan to be that interested, right? But I would never go out and buy this because it's not my genre, but I will give this a go purely because I want to see what it looks like on this 86-inch TV I've got in my lounge, right? And that's one of the things I love about Game Pass is like, I know I'm going to try this at least just to see what it looks like and it sounds like. But yeah, it does look really, really good. So
you don't even need to download it. You can just stream it.
Yeah,
if you want.
The beauty of the cloud.
Well,
but I'd want to see it native with a game that's pretty. Like,
I still feel like there's something also not quite right about the lighting too.
Nah, it looks fine to me.
I don't know. I don't know what it is with Forza games. There's something about the lighting too.
There's always the inevitable as well, and I love the reading through them just to see console warriors throwing shit at each other. GT7 versus Forza Motorsport. Like, I've already seen some trailer comparisons. I'm just like, here we go. Yeah.
Even though it's not gameplay with Forza Motorsport anyway. But I don't know what it is about Gran Turismo. They always seem to get their lighting like spot on, and it elevates the rest of the game when technically the rest of the game doesn't actually look that great. I think the lighting is so good that it elevates the rest of it. Where I feel like Forza almost has the opposite problem. Everything looks good, but then the lighting almost brings it all down.
You're right in all previous releases. This one should be different because they're using global illumination with ray tracing. The one thing I would say is I think Gran Turismo, that they feel like they're a little bit more artistic with their lighting, right? So they go for mood.
It's a little bit of a different appearance, isn't it?
Rather than
perhaps
realism, right? And you've got to pick your shots. If you're working with a game that has a full day to night, weather, real-time weather life cycle kind of thing, anyone can put a time setting on that makes it look flat and awful versus really moody sunsets and stuff like that. So I think there's a bit of sway here, but I'm super interested to see how all of these technology systems come together. Wondering if ray tracing is going to be on Series S, because they've not delineated between the two versions. They've just said ray tracing on track. I was like, okay, on track on Series X and PC, or
or what resolution it would be at if it is.
Yeah. And last HiFi-RUSH shout out, best joke in the game. Oh, the picture's all scrambled. They're running the resolution at 480p. I was like, did anyone catch that in the game?
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. I loved it.
They have a lot of good little jokes like that.
Yeah, very funny.
It looks nice on Series S though as well.
It does.
HiFi-RUSH.
Runs at 1440p on Series S at 60 FPS.
Which would upscale beautifully on a modern TV anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested to see how Forza turns out visually. Even though I don't have a major interest in those games, from a visual perspective, I'm always curious as to how it'll turn out.
Versus PC as well.
Yeah, when you see the tryhards with the 3 screens.
It's definitely not me. Because Horizon's got they just had an update to that gave it DLSS and some more ray tracing stuff, and so they're still improving that as well. Yeah.
Okay. We have a super chat from a while back.
Yep.
From Jason. HiFi-RUSH is a 9.9. The missing 0.1 is that infuriating achievement list. They're forcing us to play the game 5 times to 1,000 it. Yeah, have you seen the achievement list in HiFi-RUSH? It is not good.
It doled them out at a reasonable pace for me during the game, but yes, it does force the worst part about the game, I reckon. Multiple playthroughs. But it's a game designed around, music and
replaying it.
Yeah, so I get it. But and I think there's enough people out there that love it enough that they'll do that.
You're going to get your 40 hours out of it to get you 1,000.
Yeah. No. I mean, I played through it. I'll definitely play through it again just to do the other bits. That's a terrible tie. I used to have a black tie like that, but it had Daffy Duck at the bottom.
I've got Daffy Duck. I've got Daffy Duck tie as well.
I haven't had to wear a tie, for a long time.
I've had this tie since 97. So if you were ever doubting how much I love the Nintendo 64,
or your fashion sense,
it hasn't faded out. I'm impressed.
No.
Been well cared for, like everything in Nick's life. Anyway, so that was a lovely, lovely week of lots and lots of video games. In ABK news.
Oh, God.
And chat, before we dig into this, to make us feel better because we hate talking about it, it's boring. Hit that like button because, there's like nearly 300 of you watching and I'm only seeing a mere 87 likes. And that just makes me sad.
Guys, I wore a suit for this.
Yeah, come on. He's like really scrubbed up.
Yeah, I wore a suit. You can
but
give me some likes.
There's a bunch of
looks
things.
like he's just back from the office. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Back from the pub. Back from a big piss up there at the pub, mate.
Oh, God. So there's a couple of things in ABK news this week. One, I think we were supposed to. There was lots of scuttlebutt that we were going to hear the EU's preliminary verdict on Friday, and then nothing appeared to my knowledge. But the more interesting stuff... Oh, he's getting naked, folks.
I have to get out of this shirt. It's killing me.
Subscribe to our Patreon for exclusive behind-the-scenes footage of Nick getting undressed. But whilst we're talking through it, a couple of interesting bits. Microsoft apparently subpoenaed Sony. And keep me honest here, Tom, because I know you covered this quite extensively. People covered it and initially were like thinking that Microsoft were asking to see all sorts of things that they weren't. They misunderstood legal phrasing.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact phrase was now, but
it was like planning and distribution or something.
It was
like planning and release.
Producing documents essentially, and they thought it was their production schedule. I think, which obviously
tell us when all your games are coming,
so we could slot Game Pass games in around them. That's not what Microsoft was trying to do. It's just document production. It's pretty standard in terms of legal cases and stuff, but. Yeah, we'll see what exactly Microsoft want to get out of Sony there. And how that goes.
But the more interesting piece of news out of all of this back and forth is a tweet from Frank Shaw, who's Microsoft's, I think, director of communications.
Yeah, it's their head of PR and communications. Yeah,
and he posted, "I hear." I was like, "Okay, what do you hear, Frank? What do you hear?" I hear Sony is out. Briefing people in Brussels claiming Microsoft is unwilling to offer them parity for Call of Duty if we acquire Activision. Nothing could be further from the truth. We've been clear. We've offered Sony a 10-year deal to give them parity on timing, content, features, quality, playability, and any other aspect of the game. We've also said we're happy to make this enforceable through a contract, regulatory agreements, or other means. Sony is the console market leader, and it would defy business logic for us to exclude PlayStation gamers from the Call of Duty ecosystem. Our goal is to bring Call of Duty and other games, as we did with Minecraft, to more people around the world so they can play them where and how they want. Now, what's interesting here is some of the headlines have been Microsoft accuses Sony of misleading the EU. Do you think there's any nuggets of truth in this, Tom? Do you think this is accurate?
I think it really depends what Sony thinks of as parity and what Microsoft thinks of as parity. That's the where it breaks down, because I can imagine that Sony probably wants a lot more than Microsoft is ever willing to give. Right? Do
you think that they're including in parity a subscription release on our subscription service?
Yeah, like parity in terms of contract, like negotiations and stuff like that, possibly. I'd assume they'd want to at least try and get that, just to have the ability to do what they usually do.
They've got some balls on them, don't they?
Yeah.
I think Sony wants parity to mean that things stay the exact same, that they still get their year, their months, all that stuff stays the same,
and that they have the ability.
And
that they have the ability to perhaps negotiate any marketing stuff in the future, or contractual or streaming rights, or
I'd be telling.
I think that's possibly what they mean.
That's mad that they think that they can get.
Yeah, I'd be telling them to get stuffed. I'd be like, no, we own it. Like, be thankful that it will still release on your platform, and that's it. Like,
but you can imagine the way that they're probably working with their lawyers and stuff is that they're probably trying to get Microsoft into a position where it doesn't want to say. Yeah, but they kind of have to, because otherwise they'll say, well, this is exactly what is going to happen. They're going to lock it to Game Pass. They're going to lock it to their streaming model. And then when everyone's got rid of their consoles and gone streaming, we won't be able to stream it. And so there's a lot more to it, I think, than, that it's just about Call of Duty. They're just using that as like the very key driver in these conversations around.
It's the lightning rod.
Yeah, it is. And I'd imagine those are the sort of conversations, because the EU is going to be looking not at like, Call of Duty by itself. It's more, what's Microsoft's intentions for mobile, what's their intentions for cloud and streaming and all that, and subscriptions and all that sort of stuff, rather than, you know, is this going to be on PlayStation or not? Because that's kind of irrelevant at the moment.
Yeah,
it's whether they block Sony from having Call of Duty on their subscription service or on their potential cloud streaming stuff. Then that's where it gets tricky, right?
But we already know, and I'm sure if this goes to court, it'll come out in documents, but we already know that Sony's gone out of their way to block stuff from being on Game Pass.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
That's why I'm like the balls on them, because how can they turn around and be like, oh, well, but what if Microsoft won't let it on our subscription? It's like, what? The same way you block stuff from Game Pass? Like,
yeah. And that's like a strategic thing they do, or they ask for like a form of like royalties, right? When certain games go crossplay, like there's a bunch of stuff that happens. And I think that's just all part of all these negotiations, and that they want to be in a position where they have some form of flexibility to be able to negotiate.
And they want to basically continue to remain the market leader. It's a really odd, like, what blows my mind about all of this is I understand why Sony are acting the way they do from a pure, you know, protecting my business perspective.
Yeah.
But what blows my mind is that some people actually agree with it to a degree. Like I can kind of give some leeway on the, if Microsoft were to lock all of these huge games to just their subscription service, then how can our subscription service compete? And trying to push that route rather than talking about the hardware from a market perspective. Like if they close and narrow in on just these key things, which are kind of still nebulous, the future market kind of aspects, then that's where they can get the regulatory bodies to try and put in stuff that gives them some control. But it blows my mind that through all of this, so much stuff has come out about Sony in particular and their business practices that it's kind of like there's some rumbling and there's some grumbling, and then everyone just carries on as normal, as if it's all okay. And it's like...
Yeah, it is. It's a weird one. But
you just put the shoes on the other feet here for a second. Do you remember, cast your minds back to the cursed year for Xbox 2013? It might have been 2014 when the indie parity clause came out. Do you remember this thing?
Yeah.
My God, that went on for like a year of Microsoft being lambasted for some legalese speak about how indies have to release with more content if they're coming second to Xbox and this sort of thing. And they forced developers to do it. I mean, I think it's gone away for a very long time now. But like all of the cross-play contract stuff that leaked, Nick, to your point, the stuff about making developers have to pay for it or making developers not be allowed to release on Game Pass. Everyone's just like, oh, that's shit. And then they just carry on. It's really weird to me how the two things are treated. But
there was that time. I feel like Sony's definitely be using this as well when they speak to the commission and stuff. There was that time where those documents came out in the Apple Epic trial, and it was something along the lines where Microsoft were like offering incentives or some sort of discount on revenue sharing if the developers agreed that they would, put it on xCloud and nowhere else, essentially. So the Microsoft,
it does go around the other way.
It does. It definitely does. So they're doing it in a strategic way, obviously.
Interesting.
So I'm sure they're probably going, Microsoft has done this or does this, and
it's going to be interesting how it shakes out. But do you think, Phil was interviewed, and we'll talk a little bit about Phil's interview in a bit.
Yeah, generally.
But he was, he says he learned a lot, in the last year going through this process. First time he's done something this massive, lots of flights back and forth. Still very confident it will close. What do you think the scenario is going to be? What do you think? How's it going to play out?
It was interesting that he said he was more confident than a year ago. Like, I think the boilerplate that they usually use is like, we're confident it's still going to close in the 18 months or whatever that we said. But I think it was kind of interesting that his language was that he's more than more confident than a year ago. That's interesting. How do I think it's going to play out? I wouldn't be surprised if it goes beyond the time that they were expecting, just because the hurdles are there. The FTC, obviously, that's going to be the big blocking point. It really depends what the EU does, but I feel like
but with the FTC, they already said that with the FTC, they're going to close the deal with or without them.
Yeah, but
because the FTC aren't blocking, are they? They can sue.
They can't block. They can sue.
Yeah, that's what they do. They don't approve deals, but they sue to block them.
That's right.
In this case, they've obviously sued pretty soon, but there's reports coming out that they were obviously talking to the EU counterparts, and I think they will basically follow or try and figure out what the EU is going to do. Everyone's kind of waiting on what the EU does. But just because the EU says yes, it doesn't really mean necessarily that this will all still go through there.
Yeah, but didn't I read somewhere that the rumor again, the scuttlebutt is that the EU were leaning towards in the positive direction of this.
Yeah,
and that's why they rushed the lawsuit out to force the EU regulatory body to reconsider or to not say that.
Yeah,
I think that's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's a little bit of political games in there as well, for sure. Because I think the FTC wants to be seen as cracking down. Because they've put some approvals through that probably shouldn't have gone through. So,
whoops.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that as well that puts into play. But I do genuinely think it'll probably go beyond what Microsoft was expecting before they can actually get to the close.
And which it was June, wasn't it?
June, yeah, that's the end of their fiscal, which then brings in the elements of they have like a repairment charge or whatever.
$3 billion if it goes beyond.
I thought the $3 billion was only if they back out.
Well, I think it's if it goes beyond like whatever date that they had, because they do have like a cut-off date.
Yeah.
Where then they have to pay Activision whatever.
But that's out of their control, though, isn't it?
Well,
yeah.
Yes and no. If the EU and the CMA both come in and go, yeah, they can close the deal. If they come in before that deadline, they can close the deal, money transfers, all of that fun stuff. The FTC can carry on trying to fight it in court after the fact. And
it could get unwound at some point.
Yeah, it could they could force the Microsoft to divest what they've bought. Like they might have to sell off parts of the acquisition if a judge rules in the FTC's favor. But that's probably, we're talking 2024, 2025 at this point.
I still think the FTC have picked the wrong case to use as their linchpin, as their.
I think the difficulty that these regulators have is proving the competition problems, and not in a way that makes that you're trying to sort of gatekeep the PlayStation being number one, like keeping that status quo. Like that's their difficult thing, is making it look like they're not trying to keep Sony at number one. Like,
and the CMA,
and they haven't done a good
done a good job.
No, but the thing is,
they haven't.
Like that's the thing. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that that's not their goal, because why the hell would that be their goal?
It's not.
But the problem is the wording, the things they're fighting, the things they're saying are making it look that way.
Yeah, and I think it's also like we hear a lot of discussions with Sony, but you don't really hear. I mean, we heard like Google and Nvidia obviously had some concerns, but obviously probably around the cloud aspects, particularly for Nvidia. But you don't really hear much more than that. So there's not like a wide industry, backlash to this deal.
No,
there's not like a wide industry. They're not loving the deal. I don't think the rest of the industry, but it's not like a bunch of people saying no. The main one is Sony, right? So because
of course
it's really gonna affect their revenues of Call of Duty and everything else. So I don't know.
Microsoft, why don't you compete? No, not like that.
It's just funny, like how Jim flew to Brussels and.
Yeah, but
you got to think about how much money it's worth to them, man. Just pure dollars.
But then why do we only hear about Jim flying to Brussels then?
Oh, it'll be a contingent. It's just Jim's the face.
I feel like Sony isn't making as many. Well, it's not Sony's deal to get through, is it? So Microsoft has to put stuff out there. So if you're hearing stuff, it's not because Sony's going out and talking to the press or whatever. It's because Microsoft's going out and talking to the press and feeding those sort of stories.
Yeah.
That's the straight up way of what's happening, because they want it to seem like that. So, but the Phil was in Europe quite a lot, just before Christmas. So,
so definitely talks going through. And Phil got interviewed a little bit, and I guess it segues us nicely. But before we do, there's a bunch of super chats to catch up on. Nick, if you would do the honors.
So Monte Carlo, $5 super chat. Hi-Fi is a solid 10 out of 10 game. Well, Jesse didn't. I reckon he probably wanted to, but luckily he pulled back.
I did not want to. This I did not.
No? Okay, fine.
That's okay. Because I just did with something else. When I want to do it, I do it.
I know. So Monte Carlo again. Jason is an absolute joke. Great show, guys. Would you want a sequel to HiFi-RUSH or something new from Tango? Yeah, a sequel down the line would be good.
I'd love a sequel with more licensed music. Like, don't get me wrong, the soundtrack slaps regardless. But
I want more dance music.
The biggest grin for me was when the Prodigy kicked in. I was just like, "This is awesome." I had headphones on, and I would thoroughly recommend playing it with headphones rather than your TV speakers.
The final boss fight of the game has a great song that works perfect for it. I loved it.
Yeah, but I'd love to see more of that throughout. But yeah,
you know, it would have been even better. It's not going to happen because I don't think it... Oh, maybe it is an OS built thing. Like the 360 days where you could just have your own music.
Yeah, it wouldn't work because the game is so dependent upon the beat as being specific BPM. You know,
but it would be cool.
I get what you mean. It would be cool.
But they can always put a thing in that says, "Hey, if you're putting your own music, be aware it may affect the experience as it doesn't align with the beat or whatever." But still let people go and do it anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel you on the dance music though, because like Wipeout used to just have the most amazing tracks. Used to love that.
I feel, but even the visual style and everything, I feel like it would go really well with dance music.
Yeah,
they could do a lot.
I was disappointed not to see a few dance tracks in there.
But yeah, I would love it. I'd love a sequel, but I also let devs make what they want to make.
Yes, and I'd love Evil Within 3.
Yeah, and people would really like that. What a game! Yeah, what a game.
Yes.
So I'm conscious.
One more.
Oh, go on.
One more. Faisal, and this is more related to what we were talking about. ABK is such a useless deal. Yes, it is. I hope it fails, and Microsoft pays $5 billion over asking for Square and shut it down just out of spite.
Wow.
Take that 70 bill. Take that 70 bill. Capcom and Sega. Don't worry about ABK. Capcom and Sega. Come on. That'd be the best.
I mean, I don't disagree. Like, I don't particularly care about many of Activision's games. They have got a bunch of IP that I'd love to see come back, but...
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah. Otherwise...
Would that happen?
Probably not. The Call of Duty train's got to keep on rolling.
I think a couple of the bigger ones would. Like, I could see a world where Microsoft's like, okay, let's get another Tony Hawk out. Okay, let's get a Crash out. Would Microsoft turn around and go...
I can see them doing that on mobile as well.
Yeah. Spyro.
Do I see a world where it feels like, let's get a new Rock and Roll Racing? Probably not.
Keep dreaming. Not. Keep dying on that hill.
I'd so love a new Rock and Roll Racing. It'd be so good.
Oh, man. Anyway, right. So, in the interest of time, that's all the ABK news. The Phil Spencer interview, yeah. So I won't go over everything because Phil Spencer sat down with IGN. It was his birthday earlier in January. I did drop a hint that he should drop back on the XboxEra podcast this year. We'll see where we land with that one, but maybe not until episode 200. Nick and I have got to up our game. 2 episodes a week. He talked a little bit about how HiFi-RUSH was dropped and how it was the Bethesda's team's idea. But there's a couple of questions he was asked that I quite liked the answers to. One of them was how much pressure Xbox was under to establish positive momentum coming in. So we talked about the developer direct, what they did to make a difference from the kind of weak first party or 0 first party appearances in 2022 outside of Pentiment and Grounded. And he was like, it's different because we knew that was coming. We knew what we were building, but the commitment to the fans is that we have a steady release of great games that people can play on the platform. And we didn't do that in 2022. There's no doubt. And fundamentally, that's on me. I'm the head of the business. So he mentioned Starfield. He acknowledges 2022 was light on games. Sounds like we're in for a good year overall, which we know the first 5 months already are kind of nuts. I don't even know how we're going to keep up. But he was asked. Yeah, we've already one down. The one thing that he was asked about though was about the ABK stuff, and we touched a little bit on it. I'm just trying to find the element where he mentions what he's been doing. But quite often, he did mention, Tom, I think you were saying he's more confident on that deal. 12 months into an 18-month time frame. Confidence remains high. We're actively working with regulatory boards around the world that need to approve it, and it's been a learning experience for me. A lot of time spent, a lot of travel, a lot of conversations. And I think the more regulators are informed about what gaming is and how the business runs. So, when we hear these stories out in the press and we see some of the reactions to what the initial statements were from some of these bodies, like, do you know what market this is? What do you mean Nintendo doesn't count as a platform? I think that a lot of that is Microsoft going out and trying to paint the picture of how gaming actually works as an industry. But the one interesting thing in here was around 343 and the acknowledgement of all of the jobs being lost at that particular developer. And he was quite, I don't want to say humble about it, but he was quite realistic. He was like, yeah, it sucks. Candid's a good word. They took some missteps. He acknowledged that. But the interesting quote is, we want to make sure that leadership team is set up with the flexibility to build the plan that they need to go and build. Halo will remain critically important to what Xbox is doing. In terms of support studios and other things, that's just part of development and having other partners help us. But the heart and soul of Halo is with 343 and the team that's there. And I have the utmost confidence in that team and their leading and the plan they have going forward. And he talked a little bit about some of the rumored stuff. So, some of the things that have been rumored, some of the things they've announced, they're excited about the plan forward. So do you think we're going to see Tatanka at E3 this year?
That's random.
What do you mean random?
Why Tatanka? Why suddenly Tatanka?
Well, Project Tatanka is the battle royale of Halo.
That's the name, isn't it?
Yeah. So do you think that that's going to be, because the rumor is, right, Certain Affinity are working on it. Yeah. And there was this theory in the back of my mind, right? We got is it Max Hoberman runs Certain Affinity, Halo Bungie alumni. Knows a lot about Halo. They did the multiplayer for Halo 2 Anniversary.
Feels like a little bit. Well, Max was behind the multiplayer for Halo 2.
Yep. So there's a part of me that's like, I wonder if they're gonna. They've dumped a lot of those people. They can't acquire anything right now, but they're partnered with Certain Affinity. They're funding Certain Affinity. Are they just waiting for a certain moment to then be like, okay, everything's good. Right, now you're part of us. Merge those studios together, and then you get a new 343. That was in my head.
I wouldn't even use the 343 name. I'd keep Certain Affinity's name.
I don't know.
Over 343's myself.
It was just in
my I think Phil made it clear that Halo is with 343 though.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So will they be brought on as an official fully support partner kind of thing?
In John's world where you merge 343 and Certain Affinity, it's still under 343. I'm just saying I'd keep Certain Affinity's name.
Yeah, they won't. They
over
won't
343.
They won't acknowledge the failure. They wouldn't do it.
But there's more. Are they actually going to do this BR?
I don't think it will be a traditional BR if they're going to do it. I think it will be something like PvE, where you're on a Halo ring. I think
kind of like Gambit in Destiny.
Yeah, so you've got the Halo ring. It's full of bad guys. People can collect points and do missions, but you're competing to get to the final prize. I think something like that. I also think the more and more I hear about these rumors, as much as I discredit them, one of the lead developers for the engine, Slip Space engine, was one of the people that were fired. Halo Jenica on Twitter, and he was like, "Yep, I'm out. Lead engine developer out." What does that say about Slip Space? You add that to the rumors about switching to Unreal. It smells like there's more smoke there than previously thought. You know, beyond just Project Tatanka's being built in that, everything else remains in Slip Space. I'm like, I wonder if there's a full rebuild.
Yeah, and a lot of the rumors have been around, not necessarily that. Yes, there's 343 has been managed poorly at some points as well, but also that they've had dev headaches that have come from engine and procedures and stuff related to that engine. So, yeah,
it smells more realistic to me than it perhaps was.
And Microsoft is a fan of Unreal Engine, so
well, the way I look at it, if they've chucked out all the talent that knows specifically about Slip Space. Okay, Unreal's an acknowledged, it's developer, it's well documented, right? There's plenty of talent out there for it. How do we get Halo back on top? Well, we utilize an engine where everyone knows, and much like the Coalition, who became experts in their own fields in terms of how they utilize Unreal, can we drive that same magic from a developer standpoint within 343?
It's also easy to hire contractors that can work on that code than have to, skill them up.
We said that last week.
So, I don't know. I thought that was an interesting, diversion out of that interview. But it was nice to always get a little interview with Phil. Wish we were doing it, but never mind.
And Tom did his shelf analysis, as he always does.
Is there anything good on there this time?
No. Just the cancelled Xbox Cloud Console.
Oh.
Was it there?
Yeah. It was there again.
Man, there's a story I could tell there where I had very much a moment about Project Keystone that I'm certainly not going to share publicly.
That thing was very close to shipping.
Very close.
That's where the story's going.
There's a few of them, so
yeah.
Put it that
there may have also been deals potentially in place or about to be in place.
Oh yeah, they had the full marketing ready for it to go. So that was definitely ready.
That's crazy.
When I heard all of a sudden that it was gone, I was like,
it was gone. Yeah.
That's not the first time that's happened as well, right? Microsoft did that with the Surface Mini. Was it
Surface Mini? Yeah, it's basically a Surface
It was
Mini
in vans, ready.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very, very similar. Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm still waiting for my Series S portable handheld. All of the power of Series S in the palm of my hand, please, Microsoft.
I think it'll be a while until that comes to fruition. But they're definitely working on it. But...
if anyone can do it, Jason can do it.
Jason Ronald, the beard, powered by
Jason
beard.
can do it.
Oh dear.
That'll be fun though, because they do need. So there's a bunch of Steam. I was going to say Stream Deck because the damn thing's named the same.
Steam Deck.
But there are a bunch of Steam Deck competitors that run Windows, and they're just not quite as nice because the interface. So if Microsoft can do something, I still don't know whether it would just be cloud only or not, or
I reckon
Xbox,
it'll be native
or PC or.
I hope for genuine native Series S.
Yeah, I still think
pushing
it'll be a
720p on a really little screen. Great.
They've got some ways to go before they could shrink the S down to handheld though, for sure. Well, AMD does anyway.
Yeah. Oh look, we've got a super chat from Tai Casaris.
Which other game engine would work for Halo?
Well, on Unreal, they tested
Unreal
Halo
5.
in Unreal. They prototype a lot of the stuff in Unreal, right? I think for whatever reason, some of the blam stuff is I think just feels more Halo, right? And the feel of Halo is quite unique as an arena shooter. Maybe they couldn't nail it, or they didn't want to risk committing to a full development in Unreal when they didn't feel they could nail it.
Couldn't id Tech work?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. id Tech.
Rage was an open world game.
I know you love Rage, the original.
The original Rage. Oh my
Halo
God,
is so much about vehicles and everything, and they work in very
specific
specific ways.
It's not corridor driven, and
I know, but Rage has vehicles in an open world as well,
and they don't feel anything like Halo. Like the amount of work to try and make things feel the same again. And they tried. That's what the prototyping was. And they're like, nope, it doesn't work. So you can say they could, and they did try, and it did not work.
But I think with Unreal 5, and when I say they chuck out all the devs that know about split space, that's an overstatement, right? But chucking out the guy that led the engine development suggests that you're not particularly invested in that engine anymore. That's my statement, right? I'm not saying that all talent that knows how split space work is gone, but if you're throwing out the guy that coded the engine to begin with, kind of suggests you're not particularly happy.
Yeah, it does make you wonder what they're going to do with the campaign content. This 10-year promise.
Well, I feel like that 10-year plan was taken out of context. It was like a throwaway phrase.
They never actually said there was a 10-year plan for Halo Infinite.
They said the next 10 years of Halo.
Yes, they were like, we are laying the foundation for the next 10 years of Halo. And everyone somehow twisted that or confused that as, Halo Infinite has a 10-year plan. Let's see what the roadmap is.
But I think the plan was definitely Slipstream for the next 10 years. So
Slipspace,
Slipspace, sorry, for the next 10 years. So
I think that's changed. I think that's changed to a degree.
Changing. Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. I do know that there is cool stuff coming, right? Like, that's what I'm going to say. There's cool stuff coming for people that still play multiplayer Halo. I can't speak to any of the single player stuff. For people who love multiplayer, I
started playing it again over Christmas, actually. I hadn't played it since launch, really.
There's a couple of things that really bug me right now, and I know Jesse hates the Halo chat because it gets quite vitriolic. Halo fans are the worst, me included. But like, I was playing ranked. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not the best at Halo. I can hold my own, but I love ranked play. It's my jam. Just like SWAT is Nick's preference. Playing Friday night. Oh, sorry. You three have completed your 10 matches and have a rank, but your friend, who is of similar skill,
that's right,
can't play together. What? Like, what? He's got to go off on his own and then earn
they have to go and do the 10 games, don't they?
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb.
And then we were jumping into quick play. Please note the phrase is quick play. 10 minutes, no games. I'm like, okay, how dead is this game? And then you get forced into games when we did get some ranked stuff going, where you're with PC players, and like, I get they have the benefit of the mouse, but there was one guy we were playing with, and I remember his gamer tag, and maybe someone can find him. Yes, Yev, right? This guy, three of us, pretty competent. This one guy, the rest of his team was scrubs. Like, we were absolutely wiping the floor. And this one guy, 50, 60 kills. So 40 above where we were like 18 and 20 each. Unstoppable. Like, felt like he knew exactly where you were. And I'm like, how prevalent is cheating on PC in Halo right now? Because it feels pretty
majorly
rough.
Prevalent. Yeah, because I was playing ranked a lot. And you know the default Xbox gamer tags. They're like just random, aren't they?
Yeah,
there's
lots of them. Second accounters.
All they do is they create an account, they get it ranked up, and then they sell it. Right, like that's what they're doing. So
it's pathetic.
I think it's pretty prevalent.
But there's no comms, and I get 343 in a rough spot right now. But I really hope that they come out swinging in March with some big updates, because that is not a pleasant playing experience. Right? Yeah. It's not fun. But yeah. Anyway, it's enough 343 talk. All right, they've been through enough. Let's not berate them anymore. I think though we've spoken about how terrible Forspoken was, right? Jesse, do you want to say any more of that? I know you did the review on it.
It's pretty much. It's just like there was very vitriolic people who hadn't played it and were just seeing clips going on it, and then there was a bunch of pushback against them. But the reality is, it's just not good. It's not a well-made game. It's very weird. It was delayed a lot, yet it still came out feeling like it had most of its content cut, because I beat it in 5.5 hours. So, like,
wow,
really? Yes,
you completed the whole campaign.
I completed the campaign. Now, if you go and you do all the side stuff, you can probably get 15, 20 hours out of it, maybe. But it's not the type of thing where it's this big open world RPG and you figure, okay, the base campaign is going to be about 20 to 30 hours, and then you can go do side stuff and extend it. I was able to beat the game in about 5.5, or I think it was just under 6 hours is when I beat it.
Wow. The one good thing about it is it loads very quickly on PC.
Yes. It did.
I've heard there's a 10% GPU preview.
That's where the focus was.
Storage. It uses Microsoft Direct Storage, and it works unbelievably well.
But even on PS5, the load times are virtually non-existent. So it's like all the focus went there and they
Upload
forgot
times.
about the rest of the game. I'm like,
Well, it's just
let's use this SSD.
it's got the worst version I've ever seen in New York. Like it's straight out of it feels like a bunch of theater kids pretending to be thugs, and nothing ever feels earned in the story. It's just a bunch of almost Deus Ex Machina reasons why things happen.
Yeah, but
or
so many really troublesome tropes and stuff too.
oh, there was a
like-
story about the guy saying make it more hip hop, and it's like it's just
Yeah, just
why does your protagonist, who's a woman of color, all she like her entire character is
she's a career criminal.
career criminal, and
Like,
caught up in a
come
gang.
on.
Very
and
Nick
she's-
Really?
talking to the kids or something,
and just,
talking to the
like,
generation. It's like
the main
cringely bad.
The main combat thing ends up being shit, like just saying it like 70 times in a row, and it's just
okay.
none of it feels good. It all feels, but then there'll be some really nice looking spell animations, and the combat can look great, but you don't really control it. It kind of plays itself half the time, and all you do is you throw out a spell, hold right bumper, choose another spell, throw out a spell, hold left bumper, choose a spell there, back and forth. It never feels right. And they have their magical parkour, which is the bane. I'm flying around the open world stuff, and even that just doesn't feel that great until you get near the end. You get a bunch of upgrades, and then it doesn't feel like you're in control much, and it's just a mess. All of it is a mess, and it's very weird.
Sounds like a mess, that's for sure.
I don't know how it could be
okay.
delayed this much to then cut out so
I know.
much.
Yeah, it makes you like that's a $70 £80 game.
It's on
right,
sale
PS5,
already.
It's
Right.
$70 on PC as well.
right?
Still up.
They've priced Hi-Fi-RUSH at $29.99,
$30 US.
and I'm already hearing that Hi-Fi-RUSH is twice as long as that game.
Yeah, but it's cartoony. It's cartoony. So
I think
that's
they
why
think
it's
they
30.
undervalued. Like I think it's a great price, but they definitely undervalued the game. Like, but then
$45 Australian.
yeah, that's really good.
I bought
Wow.
the digital upgrade thing. I like that they do that with their games now.
Yeah, you can choose to support it
Yeah.
further.
So if you do want to support the devs, you just buy that deluxe upgrade to get whatever cosmetics.
Straight to
whatever.
John Johannes's pockets. That does all
They've
those
got
upgrades.
a $30 one for Redfall where you get some cosmetics and you get 2 future hunters as well.
Yeah. I don't mind that idea. I don't mind the idea of doing that because I can get because sometimes I want the deluxe content, but I don't want to fork out the extra.
Yeah.
God knows what they usually charge on top of buying
Top
the
of
game.
base. Yeah.
If I could just like with Hi-Fi-RUSH, I think it was like $10, and I got
All I got was
30,000
this
in-game
stupid
credits. Couple of it. Oh, that T-shirt. I bought the deluxe edition, and all I got was this stupid T-shirt.
Brilliant.
I thought that was great. I thought that was good.
Oh dear. Well, okay.
Okay.
Forspoken's
It's
terrible.
time.
It's time for Name a Game.
Tom needs to be a quizmaster now.
Yeah. So
Okay, what am I doing here?
to educate to everyone watching in the chat, hit like because we're still only half the likes versus all the people watching. I refuse to believe that 150 of you don't have thumbs. Press that button, and then we'll really appreciate it. But Name a Game.
Speaking of button presses, Jesse's
Speaking
going
of-
to push the button.
Oh, okay, go on then.
Yeah.
Button is being pressed.
Okay, so Name a Game, for those that haven't experienced this joy, including Mr. Warren, who's going to be our quizmaster for the evening, is where Jesse takes a topic and video games that fit in around aforementioned topic and changes the names. So, for example, Mech Assault would be replaced by words like robot fight, and then we would have
Machine
to
attack.
guess. Yeah, we'd have to guess the name of the game. So these questions have been forwarded to Tom, and Nick and I are going to go log into Buzzin Live. And
I've been
Nick
logged
already
into
has.
Buzzin Live for like
I
half
gave
an
the info
hour.
a while ago. Yeah.
oh,
My God, it's so slow,
I haven't got
John.
your code. Where's your? Oh, it's there. It's in the chat. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm logging in now. And then, first to 3 points wins one of our patrons a game code out of the plethora of game codes we have sitting in our back pockets. This week, Nick, you are playing for.
Oh God.
You guys never think to do this ahead of time. My God.
Sorry.
I do.
Quickly. I didn't this time around. I was really busy all week. Sorry. I'll quickly pick a patron now. Sorry.
And just to let you know, Tom, so the left is the joke name, the right is the game name. Obviously, I had to.
Yeah.
And the second thing from the top is the category for this week.
John, if you've chosen yours, then say yours.
Okay, this week I thought I'd play for Jesse Brother.
Oh, okay. I will play for Skedaddle. I'm playing for Skedaddle. Skedaddle's been with us a long time. I'll play for Skedaddle.
Awesome.
All
right, Tom.
What's the topic this week, Tom? What's the topic?
You might be surprised, but the topic is musical games.
One honor of HiFi-RUSH.
I wonder why.
Musical games.
All right. So
Buzzer at the ready.
Buzzer is at
you ready for the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
What is it?
I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce most of these, but we'll go for it. Strike Scimitar.
Scimitar?
Scimitar, like the...
Scimitar.
Or Scimitar.
Scimitar.
Yes. Strike Scimitar. Music game.
Oh, crikey.
Strike.
This is a hard
Scimitar. Jess, I want him to give a clue, but... All right, you know what? Bugger it. I'm going to take the risk.
He's doing it.
Beat Saber?
Good shout. Yeah, well played.
Nailed it.
That's great.
Scimitar, I'm like, Scimitar's like the big...
Yeah, sword. Yeah, it's a big sword thingy. It's curved sword.
Yeah, okay.
Great shout.
Okay.
Well played.
Next one.
Yep.
Ready? Gravel Sash.
Gravel sash. Sash is in like a little scarf. You might
sash,
wear.
like a sash.
Gravel.
Jesse, like a sash.
Sash
that you
is
wear,
in
like
clothing.
Yeah.
Gravel sash.
I've buzzed in.
Like
This sounds weird, but sash could also be a band. So rock band.
That's it. Nailed it.
Oh, he's in. He's back in the fight.
Right, next one. Tempo Precision.
Tempo what?
Precision.
Precision.
What's a physician?
As in, I don't want to say what it is.
Physician. Physician. Yes. Tempo physician. Yeah.
Tempo physician.
Yeah, hold on.
Tempo.
This one might be a lesser known game.
No. I know this game. Shit. You know what a physician is, don't you, John?
Like a doctor, like a
Yeah.
I can't. The only word I've got is like I'm trying to think. Oh, this is killing me.
It's the tempo thing I'm trying to get. Oh God, it's there, and I don't want to give the first word because then John will get the second one. Shit. Jesse, does the first word start with R?
I'm not going to tell you. Too much.
I don't know. I do not know. I don't know this game. I don't think I've
it's
played
there,
it. I can't think of
and
anything.
I know the
Take your
first
guess, or we're going to the
word.
next one.
No, wait.
It's been like 30 seconds already, man.
Wait.
Tempo physician.
Give you like 5 more seconds.
I'm starting up the timer on BuzzM. Timer's going.
The first word's rhythm. I just don't know the second word.
3,
Okay.
2, 1. Oh, Sik jumped in.
Rhythm killer.
No.
Okay. I have no idea.
What was it?
Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah, what was it?
Okay. Rhythm Doctor.
Oh my god!
Why
if
would
I
you
just
say
said
killer?
Doctor,
Why
what
did
the
you say
fuck?
killer? What the fuck?
I don't know, because I thought Doctor was too fucking obvious. What am I gonna say?
That's why I couldn't say what it like.
It's not that
really obvious.
It's not a huge game, so that's why I kind of made it an.
I knew the
obvious
first
way.
word was rhythm. I just didn't know the second word.
Wow.
Ridiculous. I should have just guessed.
Because I've never actually heard of Rhythm Doctor.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
It's not
no,
a big
right.
game.
I was like, it can't be Doctor. I've never heard of that. But I knew a guy from back in the day whose gamer tag was Rhythm Killer. I was like, maybe that's an old game that I've never heard of. So I just went with it.
All right, you ready for this one? If you
Yep.
don't get this one, I'm gonna be worried. Okay. Piccolo Champion.
Guitar Hero.
Yeah, that one was.
Okay.
That one was pretty obvious, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, come on, Nick. Wake up, yeah. Get speedy on that mouse click.
It's a space bar.
Oh, I don't. I use
ready?
mouse. Yeah.
This one's tricky. So, Ingot, underworld vocalist.
An underworld vocalist is a hyphen, one word.
Ingot.
Yeah.
Underworld hyphen vocalist.
Ingot. I know what that is.
Yeah, so do I.
Ingot, underworld vocalist.
Yeah, but hyphen.
Ingot underworld is hyphened.
No, Ingot
No,
colon
underworld vocalist.
underworld
Vocalist is
Yeah,
hyphened.
Underworld vocalist.
Ingot colon Nick Mechanico.
Yeah. This is a new game, isn't it?
Maybe not.
Ingot is metal.
If memory serves,
I've already buzzed.
You buzzed in, yeah.
Metal Hellsinger.
Yep.
Underworld vocalist.
Damn.
Yeah. I played this for like 15 minutes, and I was really worried I wouldn't get HiFi-RUSH because I love music and I can play guitar. Couldn't get into Metal Hellsinger at all, and I loved the idea of it. Just couldn't comprehend it.
You guys got that one.
Nice, well played, Nick. It's 2-2 right now. This is for the win.
Oh, this is for the
This
win.
is for the win. It's the best of 3.
It's getting intense. Right. Ready?
Yep.
Expanse, passage, quintuple.
Expense passage, quintuple. Expense passage.
Good luck with this one.
Expense.
I actually think this one's pretty easy. If
Good
you
luck with this one.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say it, but yeah.
Quintuple.
Yeah, quintuple.
It's just a number.
what's that?
How else can I say numbers?
Yeah.
I know.
Quintuple.
What music game has what quintuple would be in it?
5.
No. Thank God glad you know.
Expanse what? Expanse what?
Expanse, passage.
Passage.
Expense passage.
What's 5? I'm trying to think of the music games with 5. That has a
Guitar
fifth
Hero's
game.
had a bunch of iterations.
Yeah, Guitar Hero's like 5
And you
games.
feel like, is it just Guitar Hero 5?
It's
Guitar
not Guitar
Hero
Hero or
doesn't
Rock
work with
Band.
Expanse
It's none of
passage.
those, no.
Oh, you
fun.
shifty bastard, Jesse. Space Channel 5.
That's it.
Sorry,
done it.
sorry, Jesse, brother.
He has access to everything I review, and he barely plays any of it. So he was pretending to be excited.
Oh, fair.
Who?
My brother. I game shared him.
Oh, I thought you meant me. I'm like, no.
Oh no, I don't give you anything.
Sega Dreamcast
Oh, God.
game.
Yeah, see, I have
I'm
never
like-
never played Space Channel 5.
Ah,
Didn't
yeah,
even know it
Space
was a
Channel
thing,
5.
so
That-
there was no way I was going to get that.
Yeah, Space
My
Channel 5.
hint was just going to be going, ooh la la.
Wait, I have to.
Yeah,
I, have to
I was
read
about to
this-
say
I have
ooh la la or...
Yeah, there's
When he
two
said
more we
read
do.
this one out there.
Because my first thought
Yeah.
was, which music game? Guitar Hero 5. I'm like, nah, Guitar Hero didn't get to 5.
It
Rock
did.
Band got to 4. Did Guitar Hero get to 5?
Well, it got to Guitar Hero the Beatles, Guitar Hero Aerosmith, Guitar
yeah,
Hero.
but it didn't get to a
Your
number
Didn't get the
5.
5, though, did it?
Yeah,
And
fair.
neither did Rock Band.
We have two more.
thank
so
God, I'm
do I
finally
read
on
the
the
other
board.
two?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
go on. You can read the
Yeah,
rest
yeah.
that we got.
Because this one's funny. Unbiased frolic.
Unbiased frolic.
Unbiased frolic. Frolic fun. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Just Dance.
Yep.
Nice. Unbiased. Just. Yeah. that's
Unbiased,
wicked.
just.
That's
Because I
a
knew the
great
second
one.
word was dance, and I'm like, unbiased dance? I'm like, what? What? Like, what do you mean?
All right, and then the last one is solder.
Solder.
Americans would say solder. You guys say solder.
Oh, yeah, solder. Oh, God.
Water.
Aluminum.
Water.
Nuclear.
Aluminium.
Aluminum.
Aluminum.
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Irregardless.
Solder. I don't know.
Give up.
This was a game talked about a lot in the XboxEra Discord by one person.
Clearly not me.
No, it was another mod though.
Give up.
I give up.
Solder.
I don't know.
Like solder. You know how you solder? You're
Yeah,
What
I
are
don't
you?
know.
What are you doing when you solder something? Are you blanking
you're
it?
melting. You're
Fusing
melting
it together.
Oh.
Fuse.
Yeah, I buzzed.
Nope.
Fuse?
No, you're missing a letter.
Oh, am I?
Fused.
All right, just go.
Fusion.
They don't know.
Fuser.
Fusion?
Fuser.
Fuser. Fuser.
Oh, Fuser. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Fuse
Yeah,
was
that
the
was
one
a
that
tricky one.
Insomniac made.
Oh, well, that was good. Well played. Well played.
Finally
Nick.
on the board.
Yeah.
My
3
God.
There's some good
now.
ones.
It's like
in that
3-1.
Yeah, that's good.
Ah,
Oh,
man.
well, there you go. Name a game. It's
yes. Skedaddle.
I actually had an email from some company saying, "Oh, we really love your name a game section. You know, I
Really?
work with companies explicitly
It's
with
bullshit.
TikTok and everything. We would happily cut down your podcast and get that up there and blah, blah, blah." And I was like, we've already got a guy does our TikToks and stuff. Yeah, we're okay.
And looking into
Oh,
it,
wow.
we get so many of those, Nick. They just look at one thing you do, pretend they know what you are like you, and that they're real, and they're not.
My favorite one I've got so far is this it looks really professional. It's got all the signatures and everything in. And it's like, hey, we think we can take Boxer Limited. They've missed the X and the A of the company name. So it's just Boxer Limited. We think we can take Boxer Limited to the next level. Join our team. And I'm just like, dude, you can't even get the name of the company right. It's
What'd you
like,
think,
You
Tom?
know you're in a ring with KSI next week.
Yeah. What'd you
I'd
think,
lose.
Tom? Did you like the name of the game?
Yeah, I did. I'm glad I wasn't on the opposite side trying to guess those because
it's tricky, isn't it?
I
It's
think
tricky.
that
The
would be
amount of
those
pressure we're under.
I love the game
Some of
shows.
it-
I
some
was
of those
I was
are
on Game Mess. Game Mess was good. Jeopardy. That was great.
Yeah, it sounds good fun.
It is. It is a lot of fun. Game Mess Jeopardy. I lost at Final Jeopardy. I was dominating Jeff and Mike. Absolutely dominating them, and then lost at Final Jeopardy. I was devastated.
Wow, brutal. They
That's
slipped in all the all the topics you didn't know about.
No. It came down to Final Jeopardy. I had like a $2,000 lead, $2,500 lead, and then Final Jeopardy. I think I gambled 1,000. Jeff gambled all his money, and the final question was: the Nintendo 64 had 2 code names. There was Ultra 64, which we all knew about, but what was its first ever code name?
Ooh.
Mike called it Project Sex, which it obviously was not. I said, and I got my words mixed up. I got very close. I said Project Silicon, but it wasn't. It was actually the Silicon graphics was like the engines or whatever they were using was Silicon graphics.
Yeah.
It was Project Reality,
Oh,
and Jeff knew that.
wow.
And I was gutted. I
Beaten.
lost on that one question.
Beaten.
I
But yeah,
Gutted.
so we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. Now we have our community questions, Tom. So I don't know if you need to skedaddle, if you want to stick around.
I
don't-
reckon we can get through
No.
them pretty quick.
It's
Yeah,
up
I
to
can
you.
hang around.
You can hang
I'm
around.
good,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll
We'll
finish
get
the
through 'em
show
pretty
with
quick.
all of us here. That's all good. So we'll try and
Yes.
rush through these. We'll just have to keep an eye. The person we actually have to worry about is not the questions or the people asking them. It's Nick going off on tangents about Melbourne, Greece,
No,
all of these things. They can happen. So if we catch it,
Rambling
Jesse's
on.
just really hot on the mute button.
I've
And
got some Goldeneye and Dead Space and Hi-Fi-RUSH to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nick,
There's a
community
lot of
questions.
okay.
But before I do that, we have to thank all of our patrons.
Yes.
So, big thumbs up to all of our patrons. You guys keep us able to do all of this cool stuff and make it look all fancy. And if you're interested in supporting XboxEra, you can do that directly, either via, if you're on YouTube and you prefer to manage everything through there, you can join as a YouTube member of the channel. Alternatively, head to patreon.com/XboxEra, where you can get, for as little as $1, you get ad-free browsing. You can ask community questions every week. But if you subscribe for more, you can get t-shirts and mugs and stickers and all sorts of stuff like that. So go check it out if you like what we do. Anyway, community questions. I've said my blurb.
Yes. Okay. First question. Hugh. Howdy y'all. Not really a question, but I hope Nick started the show with his best rendition of the Goldeneye theme tune. Wow. I went one better than that, Hugh. I came on as a more handsome version of Pierce Brosnan and everything.
And then completely flubbed playing the music.
Yeah, it did flub
Yeah, I
it.
didn't
It
get
wasn't
my
smooth
timing right.
like Bond. Okay.
Do you think we get an update to Goldeneye to either allow us to play online or like via X-Link Skynet play, or still get the better Unreal Engine version that leaked many moons ago? Well, we sort of covered that. We don't think that good version.
You've got what you've got.
Come.
It's terrible. The end.
Get what you get. Don't get upset. P.S. How fantastic was that surprise drop of HiFi-RUSH? I wasn't that interested in Tango before, but I'm now really excited about their upcoming projects. It's absolutely pure joy to play, and I have found myself losing all track of time whilst playing it. Yeah, it's good. It's a very good game.
We've waxed lyrical about it already.
Yes.
So
very,
please
very
rewind
promising
and
start
enjoy.
to 2023 for Xbox. I do wonder if they do have other surprise games like that in the works for 2023.
Well, to Tom's point,
sure
there
hope
was
so.
the big redacted document, and it had this big black line about releases for this year or something, right? And everyone assumed it was Starfield, Redfall, blah, blah, blah. And suddenly this game's come out of the room. And that space, that big black bar is pretty long. Could be a couple of other games in there. We'll find
I hope
out.
so.
Shadow
That'd be
drops
good.
That'd be
galore.
Well, no, they don't have to be shadow drops, but even just surprise announcements.
Yeah,
Yeah, stuff we weren't expecting. Yeah.
I'm down with
Let's
that.
not get shadow drop happy. You don't just shadow drop everything.
Too late. Jez has already tweeted Starfield Shadow Drop.
There was a console that was shadow dropped once. And
That's my camera.
see, Tom was shadow dropped.
Tom's dropped in the
shadow
shadow.
Shadows dropped over Tom just now.
What's happened?
The Sony camera ran out of battery, I'm guessing.
I think it might have like overheated or something.
That's the real reason for the 2-hour tournament. It literally on the nose of midnight.
It's
30
literally
seconds
just
past.
disappeared. hasn't
Oh,
it?
yeah, look at that. Right on midnight.
Wow. Quick, find a
yes,
picture of Tom and put it in the box.
Try and get
It
it back
probably
on.
ran out of battery.
But anyway.
Okay.
You still
Pre-Drake.
hear me though, right?
Yeah,
Yes, we
still hear
can.
you. You're
Yeah,
all good. You're
okay.
all good.
Just if you want, switch to the avatar thing. You can stop your cam and it switches to the avatar. Pre-Drake. Where was Tango Gameworks on your list of Xbox Game Studios plus Bethesda Studios before, and did HiFi-RUSH change that?
Pretty down the list because I'm not a horror fan. And yes, absolutely, HiFi-RUSH like made me like, wow, where was this come from? So yeah,
Yeah.
I would say it's gone up the list.
There
You're
he
back.
is. He's back.
I'm
He
back.
put a second battery in there.
Is
think
it
it's
like
just the
the
camera,
dual
isn't it?
sense controller only lasts for like 2 hours or something like that?
Yeah, and then it's like
Really? You reckon it was the camera overheating?
possibly. I don't know why it would just turn off.
Wow.
I don't have.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It could be
I don't
worse.
know.
It could be like what happens with my phone. This is my iPhone right now, my 13 Pro that we're using. And the holder that I bought sometimes just lets go of the phone. And all of a sudden you see the phone just tumble.
That happened 3 times last episode.
Oh my God.
Never mind.
Yes, but iPhone 13 Pro, pretty good webcam.
Yeah, not sure if you heard that
Yeah.
question, Tom. Tango
I
Gameworks,
didn't,
where
sorry.
was it on your list of studios in terms of being anticipated for? And did HiFi-RUSH change its
Change
position
that.
on your favourite studios list?
Yeah, I think it was pretty down low. Like, yeah, not really bubbling up. But now,
Yeah,
HiFi
more of
Rush
that,
is
please.
Definitely, yeah, some more of that. But I think a lot of it's definitely the shadow drop though as well, right? Because if this would have probably gone totally off my radar otherwise.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
Really,
I agree.
I think, and a lot of other people. But this is giving it its best treatment because it deserved this sort of 15 minutes of fame or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, 100%. Seeing it trend for like 2 solid days on Twitter was
But see,
pretty cool.
people thought, that's the funny thing. I saw the opposite sentiment on Twitter. Like, Tango deserved better than a shadow drop. I'm like, no, I think you've got it all wrong.
This is good.
This was the right move for Tango. Like,
Good friend
Tango
of the show,
deserved better. Tango deserved better than 3 months of, oh my God, look at this $30 cartoony indie trash. Because that's what they would have copped for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tango
Where's even
deserves
within
better.
3, man?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tango got the best treatment they could have possibly got, which is everyone raving
Everyone's
about this
attention.
game.
Yeah. It
Like-
really grabbed the attention, didn't it?
Yeah.
Good friend of the
awesome.
show, Mike Minotti, was talking about and saying like, well, they had this thing going where Xbox has no games, and then they just shadow dropped. They could have quelled all the people complaining about no games. I'm like, I get it a little tiny bit, but I also think you can't market and worry about that. It's like you've got this thing, you know it's going to work. You know the game's great. They know what they have. Once it's out, people don't care. So they're not going to go back and say, "Oh man, they really missed the TGAs." If only I would play Hi-Fi-RUSH if it had been shown there. It's like, no, the game's right there. They're going to play it.
Yeah, that's right. TGAs, like, because that would have gone over real well. Like getting all eyes on the TGAs, so Jeff can act all mutedly excited about, Hi-Fi-RUSH.
There you go, guys.
Oh, hey guys,
it would have been announced and then shortly followed by an ad.
Yeah, and or winning or Stray winning an award. And he was muted about the Xbox being revealed, for God's sake. What do you think he was going to be over Hi-Fi-RUSH? No. Hi-Fi-RUSH got exactly what it needed to the letter. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was good.
Jesse brother. Good day, Jess and John. Nick, loved your appearance with Grub and Minotti. Have to admit something. I'm looking forward to the Dead Space remake because I've never actually played the game. Aren't you in for a treat?
In for a treat, yeah.
Dead Space 2 and 3, absolutely. Played them a bunch. Wait, what? He's played 2 and 3, but not the original.
Yeah, we didn't have the first. We did have the second, and we played the third together co-op.
Right. Played them a bunch, but never the original. So now that there is a really good-looking remake, seems like the perfect time to get into this bad Larry. And Jess, Redfall looks amazing. Between that, Darktide, Overwatch 2, Halo Infinite, and Diablo 4, we got our co-op prediction covered in 2023.
We actually didn't cover that. Darktide got delayed on Xbox Series again.
Yeah, they put a statement out
at the start.
Their servers have been on fire. Like that game was super fun at launch, and then it actually launched.
When's it supposed to be coming then?
No date. It literally has no date now.
They put a statement out saying, they put a statement out saying we're really sorry and we're going to focus on these things, and that's our primary focus, and we'll keep you informed. So it sounds like the Xbox version is going to be a ways off.
That's what we forgot to talk about. We didn't really talk about Redfall.
Redfall, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I actually, you know what? That showing actually muted it a bit for me.
That is every single Arcane game. Every time they show it, people are like, I don't know, what is this? How's it going to be? And then it hits and people love it. They have a hard time showing
I was excited about Redfall with every other showing. I'm saying this specific
because
showing.
I know why, Nick. It's because the person playing it was being very specific in how they were playing it and what they were showing, and they were very slow and methodical in playing what is probably going to be a faster paced game.
So
it's real. They want to show these exact things because they're actually working right now.
They also cut it quite a lot, didn't they?
Yes.
The gameplay was pretty chopped up a little bit. So I don't think that helped, but
I'm still really looking forward to it. The thing, the shooting looks much better, which I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the gunplay does look pretty good. Yeah,
but I'm still nervous, and I still don't feel entirely comfortable about this. Only the host gets progress stuff in a co-op game. I'm just like, that's a
mission completion progress. They do. You get all your leveling and your guns and all that stuff.
You still get XP.
If that's the case, then I'm 100% happy.
It has. There's no way they're going to take it away from you. You will get that stuff.
Okay, good. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Hytham G with a reasonably sized question. The Xbox Developer Direct was good since they have good exclusives for their brand, and hopefully when ABK gets certified this year, do you guys think that Ubisoft, before Amazon buys them, or maybe Square Enix, and along with EA, or whatever video game company that has trouble with their own issues and such, that could be acquired when ABK gets hopefully certified? You guys take on that question?
EA doesn't have any issues. They shouldn't be mixed in there. EA is doing really well, and they're enormous.
Could you repeat that, Nick?
In terms of big publishers, EA will never happen. There's just no chance. It's not that Microsoft can't afford EA. It's just that they're not going to take on another giant workforce that also costs probably $40 billion and then expect to get it approved by regulators.
And their big games have to stay multi-platform. They can't make Madden, FIFA.
That's right. They can't make Madden and FIFA exclusive
Those are just cross-platform games, you know, like those.
Yeah. EA wouldn't be like Ubisoft from a price perspective. I could see what would Ubisoft cost them? 5 billion, 6 billion.
Well, all of those developer heads, man.
But then
I'm
you're talking
surprised
about
Ubisoft hasn't come out and announced layoffs.
Yeah, 20,000 staff.
Be on the
Ubisoft.
way though, because they're struggling at the moment, aren't they?
Ubisoft, like if you look at Ubisoft, Ubisoft's most prized gem is probably the Tom Clancy license. And there'd be a lot of licensing headaches, I would assume, with Tom Clancy that would need to be sorted out.
Well, Tom Clancy's estate.
Yeah.
Tom Clancy's pretty dead.
You've got to get
as in the license. I'm talking about the license. I'm talking about the license.
Talk to us, Tom. Are you okay?
I'm not talking about Tom Clancy, the person. Jesus Christ.
Does it work with any Tom? Could we ask Tom Warren? Can we please have the
Tom Warren license? Tom Warren's Rainbow Six.
Thank you. Yeah, we're good.
I see.
PS.
Tom approval.
PS. The Bill Clinton kid that disrupted the game of the year of 2022 was Matan Evan, a French Jewish kid with a thick French accent. That's a fake accent, by the way. Who not only publicly out of nowhere disrupts the game of the year event, but he did disrupt the BlizzCon event on Free Tibet. So yeah, that's him, all right. Okay. That's a fake accent, by the way. If he doesn't hide it. Like this kid, if you go to his Twitter, he's got all his videos from when he was like 10 years old that he posted on Twitter, and that accent's not there. Like he talks like any other American. Let's got that American accent. Like that accent he puts on now is fake. But yeah. Anyway,
thrilling. Thanks, Hytham.
Cade Forever, gentlemen. What is the future of Squanch? Oh, yeah, we forgot to talk about that. Squanch games after the resignation of Justin Roiland. The man founded the studio and is defined by his comedy style and writing. There is some veterans of Insomniac and Epic Games working there, so it's not like they don't have the talent. But I can't help but feel they won't find the same level of success without him. I don't know if that's true.
They made a very competent game.
Justin Roiland's not a developer.
Yeah,
he's not a voice coder. He's not. Yeah, like I didn't like High on Life because of Justin Roiland's voice. I liked High on Life because it was a pretty competent shooter that gave me Metroid Prime vibes that blended Metroidvania stuff with cool
wacky comedy.
Upgrades.
The wacky comedy part is the bit that they'll miss.
I actually said that was the most
more divisive
part.
Yeah.
And it's very divisive as well. Yeah.
That's a game that you'll either love or hate, right? And
that's right.
It's very Marmite. So,
did you like it? Did you like High on Life? You're a big fan.
It's very Marmite.
I played it and to be honest, I got a bit bored of it. I like the comedy was fun for a certain period of time, and then it was just like. I'm kind of over that, you know.
He grinds on you a little bit. I think certain people just it's not for me. But I think the studio itself will be fine. But you probably just won't see that attempt to make a Justin Roiland game again. You'll just see other games like maybe they don't want to be pigeonholed into being a comedy game creator, but. Writers' rooms, that's one guy. There's tons of writers that would have written and contributed towards the plot and all of the jokes within that game. Don't let one man define as if he's the linchpin to the whole project.
Yeah, especially when he's not actually a developer.
Exactly, yeah. He's a voice actor and a writer, and that's it. So,
again, but that's only to me. That it's not his comedy and his voice that made me love that game. For me, so I don't see why him going would suddenly mean that all their future games might suck. Nah, the dev team's still there. And apologies, Hytham, I'm an idiot. I feel like an idiot. That was a Hong Kong flag, which I did not even realize. That was a Hong Kong flag. I don't know why I said Free Tibet. That was a Hong Kong flag. That was there.
It was just a good guess, mate.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Clearly I don't know flags very well. DeoGame. Hello, everyone. Phil Spencer recently said something to the degree that a shadow drop has to be the right game. I agree. What is the right type of game? What do you reckon are some candidates? Mara, Belfry, Starfield? Oh my god, no. Cheers. P.S. Having beaten Hi-Fi, do you reckon it could be a new IP? I love these characters and world. It has to be a new major IP for Microsoft going forward. Get the anime out on Netflix. Start the merchandise train. The whole lot. Every single piece of that game is marketable.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Now, what is the right type of game to shadow drop? No, not Starfield. We were sort of talking about this before. You can't shadow drop a Starfield. Firstly, it has to be a digital-only game in today's world. You can't shadow drop a disc, a game that has a physical release. You just can't do it. What type of game? I mean, that type of game. Like, you know, if something like The Artful Escape was a first-party game, that could have been shadow dropped.
Yeah, I think it's got to be something that is, not of your realistic, extremely expensive AAA dev fare. There's got to be passion projects that perhaps have a niche audience. That if it's a high enough quality title, could garner more of an audience by the very premise of just being.
It's almost like indie style sort of games.
Yeah,
really. Yeah,
prestige indie, like big indie.
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to think of the right word, because I feel like using the term indie does a disservice to Hi-Fi-RUSH, because Hi-Fi-RUSH isn't an indie game. Like,
no,
there's a word for it, and I'm just not.
No, I'm trying
enough.
to think. Yeah.
Well, it's a AA game, is what I would say.
It's
right?
not.
If I was going to put a traditional moniker on it, it's a game made by a full dev team at a major studio, but it has not. That is not a game that is pushing the boundaries of what video games are capable of. It is picking its lane and doing the best it can possibly do in the budget that it's got. Right, and
you could say it did push the boundaries of animation in a game. That
and it
really
did.
is one of the best looking animations I've ever seen.
I completely
agree. Best
agree.
looking games.
But you've got to wonder how expensive all of that was from an engine point of view, because the textures are very bold, bright, but flat. There's detail, but it's not in a traditional, photorealistic sense. So it's probably a lot cheaper to make within, the time constraints that they may have had. How long has it been in dev? 3-4 years?
They had the thing where every single animated scene was to the beat.
On the beat, yeah, I know.
The amount of time that adds and stuff like it has a lot of work all around it.
A visual style like that never ages.
Yeah, that game will look amazing forever.
That game's going to be stunning in 10 years. That game's going to be stunning in 20 years. Like, as much as I don't like Wind Waker, it's still, to this day, nearly 20 years later, a beautiful game. Yeah. Wind Waker. It's still gorgeous.
I think the best shadow drops are very fun things. It needs to be something
and something
you can get into immediately.
It's something that goes across the spectrum, right? So that everyone picks up and goes, okay, this is fun. I like this. There has to be something there for everyone.
It can't be like a Pentiment. A Pentiment would have flopped as a shadow drop. Hooray! Here's a really complex medieval RPG from Joss.
Maybe something like Party Animals. You know that Party Animals that's coming to Game Pass?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they just shadow drop that all of a sudden, like they had another, either an Inside Xbox or something, and then they're going through the Game Pass, this is what's coming to Game Pass this month, all of a sudden they're like Party Animals out right now. Something like that. But I feel it would work better for a surprise game no one knew about. Like, part of why Hi-Fi-RUSH worked is because really at a more broad level, no one knew about Hi-Fi-RUSH. Yes, stuff had leaked, like trademarks and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But ultimately, the game was, for all intents and purposes, a secret. For all intents and purposes.
And
that's part of why I think...
The one thing it has to be digital only.
Yes, obviously.
Yeah.
We said that. Yeah. It can only be a digital game. But I think it would help if the game is also unknown.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this thing came out of nowhere.
And I think where you talk, Tom, you said it touches across the spectrum. I think it's like it's going to be kind of almost like an E for everyone style game. Yeah. That is not a mature type. It's just, hey, it's fun and it's just available fun right now. Yeah. But yeah, it's good. It's good. Let's not go expecting shadow drops all the time, but they've done it twice now.
Don't go expecting.
That's two.
I think it'll be the sort of thing where you may get like one a year.
Yeah, well, they did one in 2021, and they did one in 2020. They dropped Halo Infinite's multiplayer in 2021.
Yeah, that was
a shadow drop.
Shadow drop.
Oh yeah,
Because we weren't expecting
it leaked. It leaked like mad beforehand, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Maybe I forgot that one because I had been calling for them to do it anyway.
I definitely knew about that for quite a while though. So it wasn't. They didn't keep that as very, very secret. But
yeah. Topp. Hello, John, Nick, Tom, and Jesse. Last week I was at a hotel visiting family, and this week I'm in Belgium. First off, I want to thank John for being the world's best Name a Game player and winning me a copy of Evil Geniuses 2.
Not this week.
Yeah. So Skedaddle gets the pick, yeah?
Yeah, I'll message him on the forums and give him a giant list of games.
How often do you think Xbox should have their direct shows? I think if they're going to stick with developer directs for specific instances, I think a developer direct, there should be 1 per quarter or 3 per year.
Well, what Phil said on that IGN is this took months. Like, this was a long thing to put together. I think it might be maybe 1 or 2 a year for this style, because this was very highly produced.
Yeah, I think it makes sense a couple a year. I think like one at this sort of time of the year, like January, February.
1 at the middle, then 1 at the end.
Exactly, yeah. Well, yeah, but the one in the middle is kind of like
E3.
Your showcase, right? Yeah. So I think it makes sense that there's 2. So one in the fall, and one, a little earlier one. Maybe just a bit before the fall, maybe. But yeah,
I guess so.
You can have the easier, the lesser produced things more often, like me and John keep linking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next. Good old Collingwood. Hello, John, Nick, Jesse, and welcome back, Tom Warren of The Verge. I hear that so often that I think that is actually your surname. During the developer direct, each developer had a professional byline under their name, which showed their position in the company. Under that, there was a second byline which showed a useless fact about the developer. If there is an XboxEra _direct, what would be the useless fact byline under your name? I like this one.
Okay, go on. Do you have one to hand?
I can't think. You go first because it sounds like you've already got one for yourself.
I read the question earlier. I was like, oh, what do I pick? My useless byline would be once painted a full-sized zebra crossing on his parents' road when he was 16.
Okay.
True story.
Why?
I was very, very high.
Mine would be, so it'd be Nick _Baker, podcast lead, co-founder, and then the byline would be incredible taste in games.
Oh my God, but you can't lie on these things. You can't lie.
It has to be a fact, not fiction.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Make stuff up for money.
Yeah, throw shit at the wall and sees what sticks.
Make stuff up for money.
Oh, Christ.
And mine would be a once owned Times New Roman
what
website,
the fuck?
and nearly got sued for owning it.
Really?
Yeah. Whoa, hang 16. On. I know we.
So you're out painting roads higher when you're 16. I'm owning, fonts. Yeah.
How did you come into the possession of Times New Roman?
I just registered the domain name, so it was like the .co.uk, and then the reason that the lawyers came after me is because I emailed the guys who owned the .com and was like, "Would you mind putting a link to my site on your site?" And they were like, "Well, why the fuck have you got this website?" And so they wanted it off of me.
Why haven't you got it?
Yeah, as a 16-year-old, cocky 16-year-old,
Yeah.
Thought, yeah.
Wow. So you nearly got sued, but didn't? Did you manage to get any scratch
they paid
out
me
of it?
they paid me like $1,000 for it or something. So.
Oh, that's all right for a 16-year-old.
16, yeah.
Interesting.
I was like, new PC.
What would Jesse's be?
Amazing.
Jesse _Norris, reviews editor, and then the byline would be, has no life.
Has put 10,000 hours into World of Warcraft.
Wow.
Oh, really?
There. Yeah.
Have you
That's
really?
a lot.
It was all I played for like 6 years or so, or 7 years or something.
Wow.
Because I was working so much, I just come
Are
home.
you still playing it
I didn't
now?
have. No, I quit when I met my wife through it. So I was like, I've got the happy ending for a WoW nerd. I'm not going back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fair.
Interesting.
Amazing. Wow.
We were broke,
speaking of-
and I didn't have to keep buying new games. I just had one game I bought.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's true.
You know, speaking of making up stuff, did you see on Insider Gaming?
Oh, what the what's it called? Motorhead, whatever it's called.
Motorfest.
Motorfest. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
there
leaked
was-
that a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, me and Tom
The Crew.
collaborated on the old Crew Motorfest. A while back, eh?
And lo, it is true.
Someone data mined it, and lo and behold, new Crew game called Motorfest.
Oh,
Not a bad guess, eh?
yeah, man, you keep
Yeah.
guessing some things
Not a
correct.
bad guess, that one.
But
I
nobody
still- I
put
should
that up
ask-
on
I should
Resetera,
ask-
or they get banned because you're not.
I
a
should
credible
ask
source.
my person that sent me all that Crew stuff if I can actually just put those out on Twitter now. I've got so many screenshots of Crew 3 and a video
I
too.
would not put it on my. I would not put it on your own account. Put it on a burner or something, or else
Create a
you'll
burner, maybe on that cutscene one.
you'll get DMCA'd pretty hard.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah,
Would I? You
All right,
reckon I'd
come on,
lose
we
my
got-
Twitter
we got-
account if I did that?
Yes, I reckon you could.
we've
It
got
gets
three
slothed.
Possibly.
questions left. Come on, let's let Tom go
Okay.
to bed.
Not Jack. I was advised by an anonymous member of the XboxEra team to ask the following. How much paint did Nick sniff to think Goldeneye is the best game to come out this week? Thank you for your time. I never said it was the best game that came out this week.
You demanded I
never
played
said
the
that.
music for it.
Yes,
and
I
so
wanted you to play
told
the
them this
music
line.
because I've been waiting for Goldeneye for how
Threw a
long?
little
and I
hissy
couldn't have
fit,
that
if we're honest.
one
That's
moment. I couldn't
little
have that
hissy fit.
one
He was very
moment.
boss mode, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He was
diva
oh
like.
my God.
I want the music, Jesse.
Real
Oh
like-
my God.
Nobody.
It's all- and- But
Nobody
it's
under
the
the age of
best
40 gives a
music.
shit.
It's such
Yeah, it's
amazing
good music.
pause
I
music.
agree.
Dun, 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 dun.
I agree. It's good music.
Ah.
It's also It's not going to win out over Hi-Fi-RUSH this week.
Did you see the
Ghost
fuss
Fire's
over
never-
the sonar
Ghost Fire.
being gone from that music, but it turns out it wasn't? So the Nintendo
No.
of America Twitter account put out a thing about GoldenEye, and it was just the pause music, but the sonar wasn't there. That boing sonar bit wasn't in there, so it caused this panic that the music was ruined for the port. But then when you actually played it, it was perfectly fine.
It's probably just a conversion
So
thing with
funny.
like mono or stereo or something.
Yeah. Okay, Omen. Good morning, after, evening to you all. What a great week it was. Xbox finally delivered their first exclusive from Bethesda. My question, however, is related to Microsoft's third-party marketing. Have you all noticed that Microsoft has been putting seemingly less effort in marketing their new games on Game Pass? For example, I remember Microsoft making a big deal when Yakuza came to Xbox and Game Pass. However, bangers like Persona, Monster Hunter Rise and Atomic Heart, and GoldenEye seem to be launching onto Game Pass without much marketing assistance from Microsoft, at least in my view. I'm not sure if I agree with that.
Persona had a lot of like.
Yeah,
billboards
Persona
and-
had a
yeah.
big push.
Yeah, and they're still pushing it. Like I see the
Yeah.
Xbox Game Pass Twitter account
yeah.
doing jokey stuff about it, and
Yeah. Persona. Something else I liked. I feel like even Scorn and Plague Tale got more marketing support from Microsoft than High on Life and Persona.
Nah, High on Life
Not
got
bad.
loads.
High on
and
Life
they-
was different.
High
They're
on
probably
High-
like quickly deleting all the tweets now, all the stuff about Justin
Yeah,
Roiland
High on
and him
Life was
doing
a bit
tweets for the Game Pass account. They're like, oh, fuck.
It's kind of interesting, and I wonder if because Microsoft is seeing so much success of games and Game Pass from word of mouth, that they may have decreased their budget on marketing for third-party games. I also wonder if secretly Microsoft doesn't want people to play the third-party games compared to the first-party, because then they don't have to pay the third-party devs as much for Game Pass if they get paid per usage. Anyway, sorry for the rant, and was curious what you all think about this change in marketing approach from Microsoft, assuming you all see this too. Well, Omen, yeah, I'm not sure if I agree. Like we said, Persona got a big push. High on Life, they didn't market much. It just kind of appeared on Game Pass one day.
No,
Out of
I
nowhere.
disagree with that. They had like a bunch of like unique things where Justin Roiland was voicing the Kenny
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
on the sofa. They did a bunch of little ads and things like that. I remember it being quite all over the place, like with the High on
Maybe
Life. It
I
was
just
everywhere.
didn't see it.
But
Maybe
that's
I
the
just
thing.
didn't see it.
Sometimes the marketing you just sometimes
You
don't
just
see it,
Yeah.
right? So you kind of come up with your own idea
Especially
of what
country
gets
by
more.
country, right?
It's specifically, they might have different demographics being targeted, right, or what you click on and what you like. I think Microsoft, the developer directs is one thing, but there is other things that they're doing this year so far that are different, and you'll see.
Yeah. As to the third-party, first-party thing, I'd wager Microsoft wants third-party games played a lot.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft, as far as we're aware, don't they pay for those most of the time up front? Most of the time?
For certain titles, especially, they'll give funding.
Yeah.
I'd wager that any game they paid up front for, they would want that thing played a lot. Like a lot. They want to get bang for their buck. But I guess maybe there's different arrangements for different games. I don't know.
There probably is, but we don't know the details of them. So.
Yeah,
No,
I think
it's
Microsoft.
definitely, it's not like one size fits all for sure. It's like a lot of different. Yeah.
I think Microsoft wants everything played. Actually, now that I've seen him in the chat, after we're done with these questions, I got a shout out to someone, by the way, and I'm annoyed I didn't think of it when we were talking about what have we been playing. Jesse, are you going to be ready with this picture, by the way?
Yeah, it's part of the question. They always go up.
nrXic, the man who should be making the new
Rock and roll racing.
I'm
here for you, bro.
Hello, gents, and welcome back, Mr. Warren. Last week's clickbait thumbnail reaction to fake gaming news turned out great. Have a peek.
Yeah, this is good.
Can you see us yet?
Yeah, I waited till you say it to pop it up.
Yeah. That's our thumbnail. We're going to go with XboxEra thumbnails like this from now on to get the algorithm.
One of the things that we take pride in is
side.
that none of our XboxEra thumbnails have faces of us going, I'm really offended or shocked or upset, So, we were asked what would one look like if we were to do it. So, we were like a Blinks 2 remake has announced what would our faces be.
So, yes. That's our example of a clickbait thumbnail.
I think that should be the thumbnail for this episode, by the way.
Yeah.
I honestly do. I know we could have a really professional one, but let's have this one. Let's use it.
Nah,
it's
but we've
funny
got the
as hell.
Hi-Fi-RUSH one. We've got the Hi-Fi-RUSH one.
It's too good. I love it.
Maybe that one should be next week's.
Okay. We'll see.
He's got to read the rest. Maybe we'll have another one for next week.
Tom can join in if he's so inclined for this edition.
All right, you ready, Tom? Get your face acting
thumbnail
on.
expression for the following gaming news. Microsoft announces a GoldenEye edition of the Series S that comes with the game and 4 controllers.
Gotta get a little lower, Nick. Your hair's out.
Perfect. I look forward to seeing that thumbnail next week. It's going to be a thing of beauty.
It'd have to be golden though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I actually won a golden N64 when I was a kid for doing a speed.
Did you really?
Of GoldenEye. Yeah.
Nice.
Have you still got it?
Sister. No, I don't think so. No.
That thing would
I
be
might
worth
have it.
$10 million right now.
I know. What an idiot.
It's like a Bitcoin. That thing is a Bitcoin. Wow. Oh my God. Are you serious? You got a gold Nintendo 64.
For speedrunning in GoldenEye.
Has your sister still got it?
I see one on eBay. It's $140.
Oh.
Seems like they were pretty popular. Yeah. There's a lot on there for 140 to 190 US.
No way.
So that's
that
14 grand
Bitcoin.
Australian. Yeah. No, that's Dogecoin.
Yeah, Dogecoin.
I've got the gold controller for my Nintendo 64.
I actually found my Nintendo 64 in a Safeways plastic carrier bag with a lot of holes in it in my loft last weekend.
Safeways.
And it had all 4 controllers still, including the one that I always played with, which I'd permanent inked all over. So it was all weird 15-year-old writing. I was like, oh, look at this. Didn't plug it in though. Don't have a Scott.
Couldn't afford to buy yourself Dead Space, but you're desperate to get in this Nintendo 64 now.
I want that Nintendo. Nick. That leads me to what I wanted to talk about, by the way. Oh, that's why that Nintendo 64 is cheap. They're all Japanese. They're Japanese. That's why they're cheap.
Not the eBay, not the
Japanese N64 import.
Well, I'm on eBay right now, and I've clicked on sold items, and they're all Japanese gold Nintendo 64s. All of them.
Mine were American.
Yeah.
that would explain why they're cheap.
But what were you going to mention, Nick, in the interest of time?
Right after buying a DualSense Edge, he then...
Oh, yeah. I forgot to say that. Shout out to, I just saw him in the chat, RayOid, who's in the chat right now. So RayOid tagged me on Twitter. He must have watched Boom's podcast. That was on Boom's. Yes, my podcast world tour has ended, by the way.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, my God. It's so many podcasts this month. Ray must have watched Boom's podcast where I tried to scab a free copy of Dead Space out of Hargeet.
Wow. You have no morals at all.
I tried to scab one out of Tom Henderson, and he told me to literally get effed in our DM. He actually just said, you go and get effed, like straight away when I asked him.
Fair.
So then I tried to scab one off Hargeet Chani on Boom's podcast, and he would not give me one either. And RayOid, who I think is at RayOid84, I want to say on Twitter. Let me get that right so that people can follow him. Yes, RayOid, RayOid 84, RayOid84 on Twitter, tagged me on Twitter and said, hey, you still after Dead Space? It's like, yeah, I am. He sent me a copy of the digital deluxe edition of Dead Space Remake.
That's very kind.
That's
so
very
what you're telling,
What
you're telling the
"Do not
audience
follow me,
is
please."
follow him.
Why?
He doesn't want followers.
Oh, sorry.
Everyone
sorry.
following him and being like, hey, can I have a copy of
Where's
Insert
my-
Latest?
Everyone's like, hey, Ray, you got any more copies of Dead Space there to give out?
And he's like, fuck you, Nick. Yeah.
My intention wasn't for people to beg him for Dead Space. It was just... That was very nice.
That's what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Someone
Sorry,
Life is
Ray.
gonna be giving out these codes
give
now.
a cheap scab a free copy of a game is obviously a very nice person.
Do you know
are a
who else
scam.
mentioned you on Twitter tonight? The Sloth.
Who?
Oh, God.
what
the
the-
sloth.
and-
Did we get sloughed?
What did I do?
No,
No,
he didn't get Sloth.
He did the
No,
comparison picture.
He did a good comparison of the Forza games and what you were talking about with the, the detail.
Oh, right. Oh, didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite
okay.
interesting, actually.
It's pretty good, actually. When you see it like that, it's like, yeah.
I see,
Yeah, the picture's
yeah.
been up since the show.
see what
pretty
Nick's
much. People
saying.
started doing it.
Yeah, see? Oh, there you go. See, look at Forza Motorsport 4 and how detailed and then look at 7 and then look at 2023.
The question is that detailed to your eyes now, or which is more accurate to the car? That's the reality. What if you had the real
I'd
picture
be
of the car there,
surprised.
I feel like the second one's probably more accurate, right?
yeah,
You
that's-
reckon? I
it
don't
feels
know.
it, it
I'd
looks it. But then again, you can see when we talk about lighting making a difference.
Yeah, it does.
One's in a hazy morning, one's in a clear day, and one's very clearly a low sunlight,
But
like at
even the
sunset.
reflections look better in Forza Motorsport 4 in that picture.
that picture,
Weird, isn't it? How
That's what I
strange.
mean. Like, I feel like the detail has gone over the years in the cars.
Fascinating.
And maybe it's intentional, maybe, I don't know, but that's what I'm talking about. I feel like the car models themselves aren't as detailed anymore as they used to be.
I need to see some more comparisons, but yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
one
it'd be
seems-
nice to see proper, full-on, in-game, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. But that's what I'm talking about, yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's the
last
last
question.
question.
Last question.
And then we have a super chat.
And a super chat, yeah. Tai Casares. Faisal. Hello, friends. It's been a while since I've asked the question, but I only recently started gaming again. As I mentioned last week, I have been tinkering with the new Steam Deck and emulation. Sadly, Nintendo 64 titles didn't feel the best on it and were a bit let down for me. A bit of a letdown for me. Not as disappointing as GoldenEye, but still not the greatest. PlayStation 2, however, still feels playable, and I'm having fun playing through old favorites. So I was wondering if you have some suggestions of PS2 classics that might be worth a play. Would love Jesse and Tom's thoughts. Thanks. Hi-Fi-RUSH is great. PS, Hi-Fi-RUSH is great. We talked about the PS2 last week, didn't we? There's a lot he can play. Maximo, God of War, Jack and Daxter, Devil May Cry.
All the GTA, the old GTA ones as well.
The old GTAs, they don't feel as garbage as the new ones. What else? Klonoa, although the remaster is out there now, but Klonoa. What else on PS2?
Manhunt.
Yes, Manhunt.
Jack and
Warriors.
Daxter.
Yeah, I said Jack and Dexter.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Dark Cloud. Dark Cloud? Is it called Dark Cloud? That RPG?
I don't remember. I was thinking Freedom Fighters is always one of my favorites from that time period.
Get Resident Evil 4. Get NBA Street Volume 2. Def Jam Vendetta.
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
2.
Not 3. Just 2.
No, 2.
3's
Trying to
overrated.
think what else I would have played back then.
Thing.
Silent Hill
I never played Silent Hill, so I can't say.
2. Silent Hill 2.
Not my favorite.
Yeah, Silent Hill 2 is the one.
The Thing, the movie, based on the movie, surprisingly good game.
Yeah, I loved the thing on the Xbox back in the day. I can't really comment. I didn't really dabble with the PS2.
Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution.
Like Cooper.
Maybe the original Ratchet and Clank. I never played it, but they're supposed to be okay.
You play Psychonauts, right?
Yeah. Yep. Psychonauts. Yeah. There's plenty there.
SMT3. If you're a big
There's so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
RPG fan.
There's a lot there. It's like 10,000 games on PlayStation 2, so you'll find something. Shinobi, which never left the PS2. That was stranded on the PS2. Shinobi, that was really good. Yeah, a lot of stuff. That's it for community questions. We have a final super chat before we let Tom go. Tai Casares, $15 super chat. What type of a game or genre is being underutilized and if adapted to a modern style could make a comeback? For me, it's got to be the Burnout prototype and the Nemesis system in Middle-earth Shadow series.
You're saying three things: Burnout, prototype, and the Nemesis
prototype
system.
and the Nemesis system. Yeah. Maximo. Come on, man. Maximo, the only thing that was wrong with Maximo was the camera on PlayStation 2. You get Maximo with modern controls all done. Oh, God, what out there is like Maximo right now? Nothing.
For good reason.
Absolutely nothing. No, Maximo was amazing.
I'm toying with you. I'm actually playing a game that I think kind of fits into a modern take on something a bit older, but it still feels old, but kind of new. It's really weird. It's hard to describe, and I've still got to think how I'm going to verbalize it. But yeah.
If you can ever beat the first level, then you're allowed to verbalize
Tell me about it. It's so hard. I hate it so much. Fun.
I just want another Wipeout. That's all I want.
Would you take an F-Zero if that came from Nintendo? Would that plug the gap, or is it just not enough?
No.
Wasn't there meant to be like some sort of Wipeout style honouring from some of the original devs that left back in the day?
Let me just get my OneNote out.
Oh.
I tweeted out that there was a new Wipeout coming. Where is it? Where's my tweet? I got told that there was a new Wipeout coming.
Oh, didn't know that.
What happened to it or what's going on with it? Where's my tweet? Yeah, I said that there was a new Wipeout that's supposed to be coming that was planned to be a VR, PSVR 2/PS5 title. Supposedly an XDev project. My tweet's there from August 11th, 2021.
I think you were thinking of Pacer, John, which is what actually Mike on our team reviewed.
Oh, yeah, he did review it. Yeah. I thought there was something like that. But yeah, did you play Pacer, Tom?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. It's a bit Wipeout-ish, but it's a couple of years old now. It's like 4 years old.
I think it might be Fire Sprite. I think Fire Sprite might be the dev that could be working on the Wipeout game. Because I think there's a lot of ex-Wipeout devs on Fire Sprite's team.
Fire Sprite, right.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I have fond memories of that game.
I was more an F-Zero guy.
Oh, fair.
Because I was on the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube. I loved F-Zero. Man, there's a story about F-Zero I wish I could tell. Oh, boy. Amazing story about F-Zero.
What's the story?
Yes. No, I can't tell it. But that's another thing I did get. Well, I forgot to mention it. I got that. The Edge controller.
Do you like
That's
it?
their Elite. Yes, I do. Although someone did a teardown of this controller. Turns out the battery is actually smaller than the regular DualSense battery, which is a disgrace. When you are charging 340 Australian dollars for this controller and you make the battery smaller than the regular DualSense Edge battery.
That's a bit rough.
That is a joke.
That is a bit rough.
And they don't use good batteries, so it will be very bad very soon.
Oh my god! Everything else about the controller I like, you can see they've got the stoppers for the triggers, just like the Elite.
Yeah.
There's your paddles.
That's really rough.
Everything else.
But I'm guessing
I use 2 anyway. I only use 2 anyway.
Yeah, it's the exact same size. They didn't really change anything, so yeah.
There's nice textures on it, so that's sort of like your grippy textures like the Elites have there. It's got nice textures on the triggers there.
Nice and glossy bottom plastic piece.
I hate the glossy bottom part. That's the only part that I just hate aesthetically. That gloss, it's gross.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I don't mind these buttons. Like you hold it down, and then you can change your profile.
That's pretty sweet. I like that.
Yeah, I mean the Elite button. The Elite has the button on the front where you just change it, and then the color changes with it.
Yeah, but you can't change the whole thing, though, can you? So,
what do you mean?
Like, if you want to change those thumbsticks, you can't. Like, you can't take the whole socket out.
Oh yes, the thumbsticks. Yeah, so you can pop this off, and that whole thumbstick comes out. So if you start getting drift or whatever, you can just replace it. That's a very cool thing.
It's very cool.
And I'm guessing that's where a lot of the cost went.
Yeah, and I wonder if all of that sort of stuff would shrink the battery slightly.
Yes, I'm starting to think that's probably why, because they had to change so much stuff internally here. It could be that they had to shrink the battery, but you can still have a smaller battery that has a higher capacity than the standard one, surely.
You want to pay. But the way to get around having stick drift is to just start using Hall effect sensors, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. But none of them want to do it. They want you to keep buying new controllers to replace the ones that break.
It's such a shame. I did mention there was a pad that now has a metal magnet to do the sticks, the potentiometer, instead of the plastic stuff that we have right now.
Hall effects are one of the big ones that are really nice.
Yeah, Linus Tech Tips did a video on it and why it was so good. But yeah.
Aside from that ugly gloss, it's nice. I like it.
Right, let's let Tom go to bed. It's been almost 3 hours. Thank you, Tom.
Sheesh.
Was it 3 hours, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been
I'll stick around for a bit.
240.
We appreciate you sticking around for the entire show. And chat.
Yes.
Let's chat as well. Majority even stuck around for community questions, which is always lovely.
Let's not wait 2 and a bit years next time.
Yeah, we'll have you back again in the summer.
Well,
next time we won't have a camera.
Yeah, whatever. Don't even start.
I nearly didn't a minute ago. It went off. So.
You almost lost the camera.
Hack together a South Park puppet. If you don't.
It's funny. But it's been a lot of fun. So big thanks, Tom, for giving up your time on a Saturday.
Thank you very much, Tom.
It's a good sacrifice.
And you weren't drunk either. You weren't drunk or anything.
I know. I only had 2.
Surprisingly coherent.
Yeah, because he warned me. He's like, I might be drunk.
Saturday night,
okay, Tom
British.
Henderson was drunk as.
Yeah, we could literally hear Tom Henderson's whiskey glass.
His whiskey. We could hear the ice clinking in the whiskey glass when Tom was on.
But go figure. But chat, thank you very much for hanging out. Always a pleasure. Yes. As always, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, go share on socials, head to xboxera.com, join the forums, all of that fun stuff. And we have
a lot coming this week. A lot. A lot.
Too much coming this week for everybody. All of the reviews. But what have you got dropping Monday? Your thoughts on Dead Space?
My Dead Space review is hitting Monday. We've got a bunch of embargo things hitting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Nick's a child. Yeah.
Yeah, keep an eye on the site for more, and we'll see you guys next week.
Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.